everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Amazing. So my name's Claudia. I'm a volunteer with Animal Rebellion. And I want to start off by welcoming you all and thanking you all so much for being here today. Today we stand together. Whatever our background, whatever movement you identify with, whatever tactics you use, whether you have been involved in the animal rights movement for years or whether this is your first march, what matters is that we are here together, united under the common goal of animal justice. We have opened our eyes and seen the atrocities that are committed against animals every single day. How unjustly and unnecessarily we exploit and kill them for our own convenience, for entertainment, in the name of tradition and progress. We destroy their homes, forests cut down to the ground so we can make room for animals for us to eat. Oceans drained from life as fish gasp for air and corals bleach. We march today for those who are exploited and killed under these systems which we have created, inspired by the actions of individuals at the front lines of animal injustice, who resist and fight back against human domination and the destruction of the natural world. Every time an orca sabotages a whaling ship, or a cow jumps from a moving slaughterhouse truck and manages to escape, animals are fighting back every day, and we stand alongside them in solidarity in this movement for justice. We march today to grieve, but also to envision another world, a better world which we know is possible, a world where all living beings on this planet can live freely and in peace. So let us not stand idle. Now is a time for us to come together with love and compassion in our hearts. Now is a time for us to unite and take action to make this change, to create another world where all animals can live free from human oppression. And I'd like to share my favourite quote with you, which says, "Another world is not only possible, she is on her way, and on a quiet day I can hear her breathing." We created this system, and we can turn it around. So let's keep fighting, today, tomorrow, and every day after that, because none of us are free until all of us are free. Thank you so much for listening.
So, is everyone ready to march? I'm not sure I'm convinced by that. Is everyone ready to march for justice? Can we try one more time? Are you ready to march for animal liberation? Right, let's go then.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to get moving. Just a few housekeeping points for everyone. You can find the de-escalators in the white high-vis, stewards in orange, well-being in blue, outreach in purple, and feel confident to turn to anyone if you have any concerns. There will be some flares maybe being used in the march. There is a ritual with the loudspeaker, and all are welcome to come and take turns in the chat, so please do approach the rickshaw at any time.
Molly, do you want it? Molly, do you want one?
Oh, I remember when we were shouting animals are free.
Welcome to another Extinction Rebellion UK live stream. We're here today with Extinction Rebellion, but also Animal Rebellion, and well, we're joining, actually, it's not just an Animal Rebellion march, we're joining people from all different organisations fighting for animal rights, and also fighting for a, I shouldn't say fighting for, we're non-violent, obviously, but we want to end unsustainable animal agriculture and cruel animal agriculture and transition to a plant-based food system. That's what we're going to be talking about today on this march. We're starting at Smithfield Market, which is a very iconic building in the sort of eastern part of London near the city. And this is the centre of the UK meat market, the meat industry, I should say, sorry. And we'll be marching around to a number of different organisations involved in animal exploitation and finding out more, educating ourselves on the way by listening to speeches. And we'll also be bringing you lots of interviews from people who've come today to take part in the march. It's quite difficult to tell because we're kind of spreading across various roads here and also into the arch space of the market. But I would say probably about 1,000 people. 1,000 people?
There you go.
Not quite sure, but we'll be marching very soon. Along with what's been interrupting me a little bit, this large bicycle-based sound system. So lots of different issues today that will be talked about by Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion marchers. I am really looking forward to hearing people's perspectives, actually, as to why they're here. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask people or to discuss in the chat for this live stream, please do. There's a lot to get your head around, but please keep it nice. This is a place where we want to respect each other and learn about issues linked to climate change and today to animal exploitation. Please don't troll us. We're just trying to spread the word. If you want to make your voice heard respectfully, we will respect you. So this is day 6 of the Impossible Rebellion. And we're pretty tired here as the live stream team. I think we've been going for quite a few times. We've been going for oh, hang on, hold that. That's a. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I've come in front of the camera. I've been joined by a fellow live streamer. As I was just saying, it's day 6 of the live stream, and we are pretty puffed out, I have to say. We had a mammoth live stream yesterday. We've been streaming for hours each day, and we're really hoping that we're bringing to people who aren't able to come to the rebellion a sense of what it's like to be here and a sense of what different rebels feel about the diversity of people who are involved here and some of what makes us tick as concerned citizens of this country. Yes, it's been quite intense. But today, I think it's going to be a celebration of our community as well, because we're learning so much from each other. Through this rebellion, we've been talking about how the climate crisis affects people of colour, people of different gender orientations. And it's just, yeah, it's been a great learning experience. And now we're talking about non-human life and how we should be respecting that. We have a moral duty to respect animal life and also, to be honest, plant life. And we're going to be talking about having a plant-based food system and more. I think a lot of people in Animal Rebellion would like to end animal agriculture entirely, but I'm sure there's a sort of sliding scale of how people think that animals should be treated or whether or not they should be part of an agricultural future. And that reflects at large a difference of opinion in the UK and the world about what we do with our agriculture. It's a huge part of the carbon footprint. Animal agriculture was responsible for more carbon emissions than cars and vans combined in the EU. That was a study by the UN FAO. Oh, hello. Crazy bull coming into view there. Yeah. By the FAO, which is the Farming and Agriculture Organisation, I believe. It's just come out of my mind, but that was in 2020. So more carbon emissions in the EU for animal agriculture than for cars and vans combined. So we're talking about, Boris Johnson's government been talking about phasing out petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030 and going electric, but they haven't really been saying anything about what we're going to do with our food system. It's been all left down to personal choice. So we'll be hearing a lot about that today, I am sure. And let's move on now. Let's move on to our march.
I said, how is everybody feeling?
And thank you to my second streamer.
Let's get running. Let's go and show London that we will not forget the past. We will not accept the present. And we will stand and we will fight for a just future for all living beings. We ready to chant? We ready to move? We're going that way. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals love their families, just like us. Animals feel pain. Animals need freedom, just like us. Animals love their babies, just like us. Animals feel sadness, just like us. Go vegan! Go vegan! For the animals! Go vegan! Go vegan! Go vegan! Go vegan! Human slaughter is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Human slaughter is a lie. Animals do not want to die. You sound great. Human slaughter is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Living eggs are a lie. Animals do not want to die. Human fur is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Human slaughter is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Human dairy is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Human death is a lie. Animals do not want to die. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals love their babies, just like us. Animals need their families, just like us. Animals need freedom, just like us. Animals feel pain, just like us. Their bodies, not ours. Their bodies, not ours. Their babies, not ours. Their babies, not ours. Their blood, not ours. Their skin, not ours. Their pain, not ours. Their trees, not ours. Their forests, not ours. Their mountains, not ours. Their planet, not ours. Their bodies, not ours. Their blood, not ours. Their babies, not ours. Their babies, not ours. Animals feel pain, just like us. Animals love their babies, just like us. Animals need freedom, just like us. Animals feel pain, just like us.
For hundreds of years, people on this planet have experienced many injustices and oppression. many moments where we've realised we need to come together and change our system, and many times where we came together and created that required change. The women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, LGBT liberation, and the miners' strikes. History has shown we're so powerful when we come together to fight for freedom against all injustices, and it's never been so important that we continue until all are free. Humans kill over 70 billion land mammals every single year. We drain the oceans of trillions of fish, all in the name of profit and a meal for us to consume. After decades of deception and lies from massive corporations, there is almost no facet of our life that does not profit from the exploitation of animals in some way. Humans are killing, enslaving, torturing and mutilating trillions of sentient individuals each year. This could end. All it takes is us. We must come together and unite for animal justice, to say no more to testing, no more to the fur trade, and no more to slaughter. We must end suffering for all. This is our moment to make a change. Join us on the 28th of August for the National Animal Rights March, because none of us are free until all of us are free.
Through Smithfield Market, and I have to say this is one of the loudest markets I've been on for some time. Samba, of course, at all Extinction Rebellion protests, kind of our trademark, but just very difficult to actually hear myself speak or think. Some amazing placards here, homemade ones. People have very, very strong opinions about animal justice on this march, of course, and coming from all different corners of sort of activism. It's going to be really interesting to talk to people very soon, hopefully when we start to get a little bit quieter. But for now, it's all about the spectacle. So that's what we'll try and bring you for the first part of this live stream. Yeah. So during this march, we'll try and talk to you about, this is a march for animal rights. As you can see, people have banners saying "End our animal experiments," free beagles that are used for hunting. But it's not. It's also. I am not a test tube. It's not just about animal testing, though. This is about. We're trying to draw some parallels between animals cruelty, animal agriculture, and the climate crisis. And there are a lot of links there. As the climate becomes warmer and wetter, it becomes a much more sort of breeding ground for zoonotic diseases. So that means diseases that are passed around by animals. Mosquitoes and other insects that like warm, wet conditions are much more likely to bite animals as global warming comes to us. And that's not just in tropical areas. And then this comes into the ecological part of the emergency as well, as we deforest more and more land all over the world for ranching. That's animal agriculture on a huge scale. But also for creating more impermeable surfaces that divert water courses, and for roads and for buildings. We are destroying the habitat of wild animals, and then they are more likely to come into contact with us and spread us diseases, of which, COVID. I think the jury's still out on exactly what happened with COVID and how it spread to us. But basically, COVID and more diseases are going to come to us if we continue to destroy the natural world, and we bring animals into close contact with us that are not supposed to be in close contact with us. They spread us their diseases, and a lot of that is due to huge animal agriculture, such as cattle farming in the Amazon. For fast food burgers, but there's a huge amount of animal agriculture going on here as well. 1 billion farm animals are killed per year in the UK alone, and that farming system is heavily subsidised by the UK government. So, we're not exempt. It's happening all over the world, and what people are calling for today is to move to a plant-based food system. That's not only healthier for us, plants, I was just saying, sorry, just hearing my director in my ear, but plants are not only just they're healthier for us, but they cut out, and that's one link in the food chain. So when we eat plants, we're taking away a huge amount of energy loss. You have to grow a lot of feed to feed animals, and you grow huge amounts of fields of soya and of maize and other staple food crops for animals, and most of that energy is not transferred to the animal and to you when you eat it. It's farted out as as methane and nitrous oxide. Methane is 80 times more damaging to the environment than CO2 in terms of greenhouse gases, and nitrous oxide 300 times more. So all of these signs saying why we should not be farming animals. And then what I want to talk to more about to people later is about animal sentience and animal cruelty, because I know that a lot of people here feel very, very strongly about that aspect of farming animals as well. This is not something that we should be inflicting on fellow living beings, and it shows a human-centric version of events where we think that we are better than nature and we are not valuing life. We are using living things as objects and as resources. So I'm really looking forward to talking to other people to find out their perspective. That's my perspective, and just to kind of full disclosure, I have quite a lot of knowledge about the plant aspects because I'm a sort of trainee farmer, I suppose, of sorts, I have an organic garden at home, and I've studied a lot about wild plants as well. But I want to hear more from people who know a lot more about me than me about the issues facing animals in animal agriculture. So we're going to switch over to another perspective on the march and another streamer, and I will join you later, hopefully, with some of those interviews. Introduce yourself, please, and tell us why you're here today at the Animal Rights March.
Well, I'm Ross, and I'm a zoology graduate, and I'm extremely concerned about the impact, ecological impact, as well as the climate impact of livestock farming. The vast quantity of land use it takes up, as well as the large share of emissions, largely methane, from livestock.
And could you tell us a bit about what's so bad about methane? It's actually much worse than carbon dioxide emissions, isn't it?
Yeah, well, methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas, so it traps more heat and reflects it back onto the earth. It's also more short-lived than CO2, and so if we were able to cut methane emissions, it would have a much greater impact much sooner in terms of averting the worst of the climate crisis.
So what are some of the easy wins that we could do to prevent methane emissions then?
Well, stop eating red meat, stop eating all meat ideally, but red meat is the big one, things like beef and lamb. Being bovids, they produce much greater quantities of methane, and so that would be number one. And also just try to eat a more balanced diet generally, including much more vegan alternative protein sources. So things like soy proteins, eat soy directly rather than soy that's been filtered through animals. Beans, pulses, that kind of thing. Be more adventurous in diet, I guess.
There's so much that we can do ourselves in this regard, isn't there? I was going to ask you, you're talking from your experience as a
zoology graduate, yeah. So I've kind of studied some of the aspects of the land use that livestock farming takes up particularly, and the impact that has on wildlife in terms of habitat destruction, both here in the UK and in terms of more intensively produced livestock, the clearances of forests in the tropics for soy plantations, oil plantations, that sort of thing, which is used as livestock feed.
Oh, I hope you'll carry on researching this so we know we can come up more solutions to the planet. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
If you're available to come down and join the Rebellion at some point over the next week or so, come down to London and get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebellion's still on for 1 week. Thanks very much for joining us on XR UK.
Thank you very much.
case you're just joining us now and you just got a Facebook notification and you're just coming online, we are at the Animal Rights March, hosted by Animal Rebellion, Extinction Rebellion, and lots of other animal rights groups. Here, starting at Smithfield Market and going around the kind of City of London area to various perpetrators of animal exploitation. And our demands here today are, well, I'd like to say simple, but I mean, it's very complex. Humans' kind of entanglement with animal agriculture and how that links to corporate interests of the fast food industry, of just the food industry in general. And really what Animal Rebellion is demanding is a change to a plant-based food system as a way of making sure that as we build a new system, as we must have to, as climate change hits all parts of life, all parts of the world, we need to rebuild so that we are including animals on a more equal footing with ourselves, and that we're not no longer treating them in cruel ways, such as with animal agriculture. And that includes not just farming for food, but for farming as well. So we've just left Smithfield Market. We're going through sort of circuitous route here, around a lot of building sites actually. It's a weekend, so Smithfield Market was not open, and it was a big empty area where we were able to walk through. So we weren't actually disrupting any of the businesses this time, but Smithfield has been a target of Animal Rebellion several times in the past, starting in October 2019, when, if I remember correctly from my notes, they occupied the market overnight. And since they have returned a few times for marches such as these, because Smithfield really is the sort of centre of the meat industry in the United Kingdom, very symbolic place. Fantastic. We're going to hand over now. We have an interview lined up with a member of Animal Rebellion who has a very interesting story to tell, I know. So I'm going to hand over to one of my other streamers to talk to him.
Greetings all. We've got a man here who needs no introduction. For the few people that don't know you, Todd, tell us who you are, mate.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name's Todd. I'm formerly an airline pilot. Now I'm formerly an airline pilot. Now a vegan environmentalist. And I guess I'm here to say that everyone is capable of change. If I can go from flying, in one of the most polluting industries, and now I'm out here on the streets. I've given up my dream job. We need radical change in this time, and hopefully we can achieve that. And I think the thing for me, I was very fortunate. I don't even know if I'd be an environmentalist if it wasn't for a doctor suggesting to me that I should switch to a plant-based diet. I switched to a plant-based diet, and I was doing that for 3 weeks, and I finally watched the documentaries that also important, Dominion, Cowspiracy. I made the links between the environmental impact of eating animals as well. And I also feel that my compassion changed. That gut bacteria from eating the stress. Those animals, when they're just about to die. You can imagine all the stress, the knowing that is in that meat and that energy you're consuming. So yeah, my eventual shift into veganism then allowed me to see things from a different perspective and to really eventually get involved in Extinction Rebellion and now Animal Rebellion as well. And I think, as our #1 demand says, we need to tell the truth. And although it's uncomfortable, I wouldn't join. I was welcomed into Extinction Rebellion as a pilot, but I wouldn't go around saying that we should all carry on flying, even though that might affect aviation workers. What I would support is a just transition and a transition of all sectors that are causing most harm to our planet. And the fact of the matter is the science is overwhelming. The single biggest thing we can do to solve the climate and ecological emergency, all of the 9 planetary boundaries that we've currently documented, the one single biggest solution that will affect the 4 that are furthest out of limit at the moment is switching to a plant-based diet. So that's an Oxford University study which looked at 40,000 farms in 119 countries. It's the most comprehensive study ever conducted. You know, we really do. I think even to stay below 2 degrees of warming, we need a 90% reduction in beef, pork and lamb. So this is absolutely essential for us to embrace the fact that we do need to transition, and we all need to come together, embrace where everyone is at. We need to, we can't be divisive on this matter. And, so it's great to be out here on the streets today and, to be hearing this movement. And I feel like this is a paradigm shifting moment. There's a lot of talk about veganism now and the need to transition. So I feel like it's just a matter of time. We can free up all that land 16 times.
Go vegan, go vegan.
We actually need 16 times more land for a meat diet than a plant-based one. So that's about all I have to say for now. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And
Todd, that was such an emotive little talk. I feel obliged to give you a hug. Come here, brother.
Oh, you're a legend.
Absolutely brilliant. Todd, can we sort of walk and talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the thing that I can't get my head around is, how is meat consumption so acceptable? How has that become the norm?
Okay, so personally, like I feel, if we look like before the Second World War, for instance, the working class people of this country basically just had, a very small amount of meat consumption. It was a one-off, it was a luxury, and the reality is, after the Second World War, the animal agriculture industry, like many other industries, just took off. They needed to use like pesticides and fertilizers, which are excess materials from the war. So we now just live in this culture, of course, where our culture is dominated by big business, and obviously big business only cares about maximizing profits. They don't care about the harm that they're doing to the people or the planet. And even in the sense of meat is actually extremely unhealthy. Like processed meat is a level 1 carcinogen. It causes diabetes, various forms of cancer. So I think if we bring this back to COVID as well, a lot of people don't realise that deforestation and factory farming are the 2 most significant risk factors for zoonotic diseases. We've got mad cow disease. We had Ebola, which killed 80% mortality rate. If we carry on chopping down the forests and we don't change our habits, then ultimately it's going to be mass death and destruction. And it's only that the pandemic hit the shareholder profits that our government actually took action. Normally, if it's like tobacco or obesity or alcoholism, that the government wouldn't intervene. But simply because the pandemic was going to cause a problem with the profit margins, they actually took action. So we absolutely need this new political economy. It's about time we had a grown-up conversation, and we can look at other things like happiness indicators, well-being indicators. And I know for sure from my experience switching to a plant-based diet, for me, I'm a much happier, more compassionate person because of it. So that was a very long answer to a short question.
What I do find really inspirational about you, Todd, is the extent to which you change your life and your occupation. And for those people who think that making a change or getting involved is too arduous a task, could you share your story and explain exactly how drastic a change it was from being a pilot? And just a little technical point, if you stand too close to me, I can't get all of your beautiful face.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. I'm going to go over here. I think if we look at the pandemic, we can see that you know, we was capable of radical change. The whole of the world was capable of radical change as long as they had the correct messaging from our government. So you know, I think that ability lies within all of us. I was I guess just fortunate in a sense of I had my medical revoked. You know, I grew up in a working class family. It took me 7 years to become an airline pilot off the back of the 2008 recession. You know, it was everything to me, that job. I wanted to do it since I was 5 years old, but at the end of the day, once I had my medical revoked, I hypocritically went and travelled the world, and I saw the effects of mass tourism and climate change firsthand, and the rise of Extinction Rebellion was happening in London. I felt compelled to understand the science, and once you really feel this, you know, once you really connect to that emotion, you know, there's no going back. You have to do all that you can do to be a part of the solution. That's my experience, and I know we're all capable of it as long as we fully embrace what this means and what's happening to, you know, the ecological boundary out of the 9 planetary boundaries is the one that's furthest past the safe limit. So, you know, up to 200 animals are going extinct every single day. We've lost, I think, about 70% of our wildlife in 50 or 60 years. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but it's just truly shocking. And we forget that we are absolutely a part of nature. We cannot survive without the ecosystems of pollinators. You know, multiple breadbasket failure is already a significant risk just because of the change in jet streams and the lack of ice in the Arctic. But if you add that compoundly with the lack of biodiversity and the risks to our pollinators, you know, this is beyond, you know, an emergency. Like, you know, we're already too late, but we are capable of change, and we need to do all that we can. Act, you know, every single day that goes by will affect centuries, you know, generations for centuries or millennia to come. Sorry, just one last thing on the aviation, and like over 80% of the world's people have never stepped foot on an aircraft. You know, so just 1% of a population create 50% of a demand, and this is something that really, you know, I'm an empath. I feel the pain of the people that are on the front lines right now. We're just getting a taste of it in the global north. But there's people already dying, and, you know, food scarcity and water shortages, it's already happening for the majority world. And so yeah, that's another driving force for me.
Sorry, did you say that 80% of the world has never been on a plane?
Yeah.
So that really is an indication of the percentages involved in a lot of the climate change, and the percentages that are getting affected by it, because the other 80% are getting affected as much as the 20% are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 80% that have never flown, they're disproportionately going to suffer the worst consequences of the climate ecological emergency, because they're most likely from the global south or countries that, you know, don't have the infrastructure and you know, everything that we take for granted in the global north. And clearly, this is the other thing that kind of frustrates me a little bit in terms of, you know, the amount of damage that a meat-heavy diet has, not only on CO2 but land conversion, water eutrophication, all the pollutants running into our rivers. There's no rivers in the UK that are now healthy. You've got ocean dead zones, and ultimately, if we changed our consumption habits in the global north, that would have a significant impact on freeing up land for people in the global south that are generally already, you know, experiencing food scarcity. There's already regions, you know, many regions around the world that are becoming destabilized, and no one's, you know, linking it back to climate change, but of course it's a significant factor. And, you know, this is the most stable and the coolest period of our lives probably for at least the next 100 years. We've got to really remember that everything that's happening now in the news, all of these extremes which scientists thought were not possible, you know, this is the best it's going to be for the next 100 years. So yeah, if that's not enough to do all that you can, then I don't know what is.
Todd, absolute legend, mate. Thank you for everything, and thank you for speaking, mate. I will catch up with you soon. Take care, mate.
That was Todd there.
as he said, a former pilot who's now a spokesperson for Extinction Rebellion. We're going to cut across to Louisa now, who has an interview. Louisa, can you hear me?
Okay, could you introduce yourself for me, please?
Yes, my name's Marie and I'm the UK coordinator for Meet the Victims UK.
I'm just going to zoom out to see your t-shirt there. Meet the Victims, yeah.
So we're an abolitionist group who are fighting for total animal liberation and focusing on the animal agriculture industry, which is decimating our planet at the moment.
Let's turn around so we can see the march as it goes past. Yeah, brilliant. Isn't it wonderful?
It's amazing to see so many people that are coming together to give a voice for the animals, for all of those that aren't heard. And I was just saying to this lovely lady here, you've got groups from all over. So there's fox hunting, against wearing fur, loads of vegans, and it's just amazing. Such a good platform for people to start acting.
Let's move a bit further forward because we're sort of perpetually trying to get away from the samba here, so you're going to hear. I thought we were just talking right now about speciesism and how that's kind of present in, well, animal agriculture, really. Could you explain that? Because we'll probably hear it a lot today, but I think a lot of people might not understand it if they're coming to this for the first time.
Okay, so speciesism, for me, it's a human supremacy issue, basically thinking that we're better than different species purely because of what they're born as. So, for example, we'll look after dogs and we'll break a car window to save a dog, but yet we'll just look by nonchalantly as truckloads of animals are going to slaughterhouses in horrible heat, and people eat pigs and cows and fishes and things like that without giving any thought to what goes on behind closed doors. So a lot of people will obviously know and support anti-racism, anti-sexism and things like that. And speciesism basically encompasses all of that and just says that we're all here to live on this planet free from persecution, basically.
And you were just talking to me about how you've been inspired by Animal Rebellion, which is quite a new organisation, isn't it? Would you like to say something about how you work with Animal Rebellion now, or how you're sort of getting involved with them?
Yeah, so Animal Rebellion came to my attention a couple of years ago, or maybe 1 year ago. I was speaking to a guy called Tim Spears on Facebook, and I really liked the way that they're really targeting system change, and I think that's absolutely necessary. What I do is obviously, liberating animals and trying to focus on changing the public's perception of what we do to animals, which is all very well and good. But I think what Animal Rebellion are doing, organising these mass actions in order to change the system, change the government, change the legislation, is really what's going to propel the animal rights movement at the moment into a different era.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. Let's just step a few steps back again. It's just constant today. Animal agriculture. Would you be able to identify for me, maybe the worst thing about animal agriculture for you?
The worst thing about animal agriculture for me is the way everybody's become so detached from what they eat. You'll speak to the majority of people on outreach that will say they love animals, they make sure it's locally raised, humanely slaughtered, animal welfare is important to them. But what these people don't realise is that all those tags are literally there to make the good consumer feel better about their choices. It absolutely does nothing for the animals, and if you don't believe that, you can check out so many undercover exposés from Viva, from Meet the Victims. We don't target bad farms, we target normal farms that adhere to regulations, that are showing the public that these regulations are not there to help the animals. Free range does not mean that these animals have had a good life. It just doesn't.
Do you know anything about organic? Because a lot of people will say, I'm buying local and organic, that's better. Do you know anything about those regulations?
I actually used to be that person. I used to eat organic meat and organic dairy and eggs and think that was better somehow. All organic means is that they're fed a natural diet and It doesn't actually mean that the conditions they're kept in are any better either. It literally just means that the diet they're given isn't full of antibiotics, so they're more likely to get sicker quicker actually. But yeah, no, I used to be a very big welfarist and believe that those tags actually meant something. But unfortunately it doesn't, and if we actually look at the global scale of the problem, free range and grass-fed, pasture-fed, all these sort of things are completely unsustainable. They're even more unsustainable than factory farming. So, you know, you've got factory farming, which is supposedly more sustainable, which everybody despises, or pasture-fed, grass-fed, all this sort of stuff, which just isn't sustainable at all. So the only answer for me is to abolish the whole lot.
Thanks for joining us. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we let you find the rest of
find
your
my
route?
friends again.
Sorry.
I think the only thing I'd like to say is that in this day and age, it's not good enough for people to be passive anymore. You need to stand up for what you believe in, whether that's to do with animal agriculture, whether that's to do with any form of oppression in the world whatsoever. We need to be standing up, we need to be speaking out, and we need to be making change.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's see the rest of the march.
Right,
and we're going over to another interview now.
Hello everyone, we're at the Animal Rights Walk. This is the Oceans Rebellion section of the walk, and as chance would have it, one of our own streamers, social streaming equipment, there she is, one of our own streamers, Laura, who's part of Oceans Rebellion, wants to share some of her wisdom with us. Laura, greetings.
Hello. They've all just created a new chant. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm going to stay in the camera, of course. I've been on the other side this morning. Yeah, once I heard about Ocean Rebellion, being an Olympic sailor, I just knew I had to get involved. The oceans just feel deep-rooted. I just love the oceans. This incredible, vast blue ocean full of incredible, interconnected, beautiful marine life. What's not to love? But us humans are acting in such destructive ways that we really are doing terrible things to it. Our oceans have buffeted us from the effects of global warming that we've felt because they've absorbed 90% of the heat. But heated water holds oxygen a lot less, so our oceans are becoming deoxygenated. They've been absorbing vast amounts of the carbon dioxide that we've been releasing into the atmosphere, but as water holds carbon dioxide, it becomes more acidic. And the worst effect of that is for crustaceans that are now struggling to form their shells. Then we've got the overfishing, we're choking them with plastic, we're heating them, they're becoming acidic, we're trawling the bottom of the seabeds, which is destroying all the habitats. Global warming is bleaching and killing our coral reefs. And at this rate, with 1.5 degrees of global warming, 75% of our beautiful coral reefs are predicted to be dead, and at 2 degrees it's 99% gone, and that is predicted to be by mid-century. Like, I just can't imagine the world without coral reefs. It's really heartbreaking. And I lived in Australia for a decade, so the coral reefs are particularly deep-rooted in my heart, and I'm really sad about it, which is why I'm here on the streets of London engaging in this march to draw attention to the fact that we all need to be ambassadors for our oceans. Get out and protest. It's the best way to force change to happen. Thank you.
Laura, you've spoken pretty comprehensively about the ocean and Oceans Rebellion, Laura. What I find really interesting at Extinction Rebellion is actually the people of Extinction Rebellion. And you've got quite an interesting association with the ocean, which I'd love for you to share with everybody.
I was incredibly fortunate to be able to follow my dreams and become an Olympic sailor. As a child in the 1980s, I grew up being told the world was my oyster, the sky's the limit, dream big. So I dreamed of becoming an Olympic athlete, and I was incredibly fortunate enough to make that happen. I've travelled the world competing in competitions, which I was incredibly proud of, but now I feel huge, deep-rooted guilt for all the high carbon footprint that I've lived. I found out about the climate crisis in January 2019, and by June 2019 I couldn't get myself to turn the engine on the coach boat. I'd moved into coaching for the last decade. I coached at 2 Olympic Games as well. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think it's perhaps something in the mentality of athletes, we can just focus on one goal single-handedly and just not let anything else get in the way. I can't think of any other goal more important to spend all my time and attention and energy and passion focused upon, apart from trying to save life on Earth. I'd love to be able to go back and share my passion and skills with the next generation, but until they have a future in which to compete in, I've got to be here on the streets, putting pressure in the right places on this government to stop just saying that they're going to act, but actually act upon their words and make the changes happen. It really needs to happen now. We are running out of time.
Laura, thank you ever so much for that. And as I said, Laura's one of our streamers. So while she was being interviewed, she took a break. Laura, your break is now over. Let's get back on it, get streaming. Thank you very much. That was Laura, and as she said, she was a former Olympian and spent her fair share of time in the sea. So she's certainly well informed. The turnout here today is absolutely phenomenal. The streets are packed. Do you know what? As I'm walking around, I've actually run into Louisa, another one of us. Louisa, say hello.
Hi there.
So what's going to happen now is that I'm actually going to hand over to you via the General, Mr. Vlad, who's sitting somewhere. So, Vlad, do your thing and hand over to the legend. That is Louisa.
Yeah, so I've got my audio here, that's fine. Yeah, and I'm going to go try another interview now, so thanks, Endip. Lovely. So I'm making my way over to XR Buddhists here with an absolutely fantastic sort of mandala patterned banner. If I could just see that held out. Wonderful. Did one of you make this? No. So I'm here with Satya from the Midlands region. Yeah, and Satya, it would be really interesting to hear the XR Buddhists' perspective on, why you're here today, the animal rights march and animal agriculture in general. I'm sure you'll have something really interesting to say about that. So yeah, what's motivated you to come here today?
It feels really important that we show up as a group to support the cause today. It's a really important cause. And animal suffering is huge and, of course, is completely interlinked with human suffering. With climate change, so it's a no-brainer really to minimise animal suffering.
So when you say animal suffering is great, actually it's 1 billion animals apparently killed in the UK per year. I only found out this morning when I was looking at my notes and I absolutely could not believe that number. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky because I'm surrounded by people who don't eat animals, and when I go out occasionally with people who do, it blows my mind a bit. Why would you do that? Especially now when there are so many alternatives available. There's really no excuse. So we need to stop eating animals, and we need to stop testing on animals, and we need to just stop using them for our own use. That's something that humans are really expert at, is making others into objects. Animals, other people, the earth. So we need to remember that the life force that's inside people is the life force that's inside animals. And I think it's easy to see with our, our companion animals. Anyone who's got a companion animal knows how complex those relationships are. You know, they are complex beings with their own. They have a right to exist. I was talking to someone this morning about the beagles that are still being used to test in the UK, and she told me about when they're puppies, they train them how to be okay with having masks put on them and having to lift their paws up so things can be injected, and I had to stop talking to her because it just moved me so much that we can do that. How can we do that? And we are doing it. We're doing that to our animals, and we're doing that to our planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that always gets me is animals separated at birth from their mothers. I live next to I live in the countryside next to a sheep field, and every year I see the same thing happen again. In fact, you know what? It just happened this morning because they've been going to market later because they haven't had enough people to slaughter them because of Brexit. That's another issue. But yeah, the ewes were just bleating their hearts out all last night and this morning, and it's very, very distressing actually to think.
My friend was on holiday and heard the crying of the mothers and asked her friend what it was and found out when she got home, and that's what turned her vegan. Is you if you listen to the suffering, you can't help but connect it with your own suffering. We know what that's like to lose people. So so it's really important to be here today. Very happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just even if I think sometimes vegans are wonderful because they're often really hardcore. I love that about vegans. I'm vegan. But even if you eat loads of meat, even if you eat a bit less meat, that's a great place to start. Even if you swap in a couple of meals, if you're veggie, just have a little bit more vegan stuff. I think that we, rather than creating more passionate vegans, which I love and we need more of, we need the broad majority to move away from their diets, which are meat every day, several times a day. So I think sometimes we forget that. I think sometimes we need people to be perfectly pure and ethical, and a lot of people can't manage that. They've got lots of other stuff going on. So don't feel like if you don't do it completely that you're not helping. Just do a little bit more, and more people doing a little bit more is much more effective than a few people doing it all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, such a great message, and I think that's like with the whole of Extinction Rebellion actually, sort of not just animal rebellion, but we're meeting people where they're at, no blaming and shaming, do what you can, and it's not just for us, it's for the system to change, and that's why we're asking politicians to take a stand, isn't it?
I'm with you completely.
Yeah. Thank you, Satya, for talking to me. Yeah, you too. And we're going straight down to the speeches which have begun.
Unilever in Bedfordshire and uncovered animal testing like it's never been seen before. So let's celebrate the fact that 40 years on, Unilever are taking notice of what animal rights activism started over 40 years ago. Come on! And what I want to talk about is something that's been happening in the last 40 to 50 days. In the quiet of the Cambridgeshire countryside, the battle lines are being drawn again at MBR Acres Beagle Breeders. There are people here today, and there are people there now, camped out outside MBR. And what they're fighting for is a bunch of beagle dogs, a group of people standing up for these dogs who have been sold by MBR Acres to contract testing laboratories across the UK to be poisoned to death. Now think about that. People standing up for those dogs. That's what animal rights is about. That's why we're here, right? I've seen some terrible things in my time. I've been through a lot in this movement, from standing on street corners with placards, behind stalls and behind prison bars. But what I witnessed a few weeks ago outside MBR takes it all away. To see 20, 30 police riot vans escort 2 van loads of 6-year-old beagle puppies to research laboratories is about as bad as it gets. Can you imagine anything worse? We could hear those dogs crying in the back. But I want to give you another message on behalf of Camp Beagle and Free the MBR Beagles campaign. In the last 50 days, only 2 shipments of dogs have left that site. In a normal time period, 3 or 4 van loads of dogs would have gone every week to be poisoned to death in toxicity research in UK labs. So let's hear it for Free the MBR Beagles and Camp Beagle. I say to all of you, each and every single one of you as a part of the animal rights movement, we've been waiting too long. Apparently we've got an ambulance coming, so which way?
If you can move off the left.
If you move to one side.
If you move off this bit of road here to let the ambulance through.
Tyres number on the tyres, wheels safe. Hang on.
Where's the ambulance coming?
Oh, look at that banner. How cool is that one, guys? Look at that. Where are those guys?
Apparently your audio's not very good, so they're using my audio. If you want to move around, you can, if it helps. So I'll stay here, but then leave my audio.
Okay.
I don't know what Vlad wants you to ask him.
No, that's right, you do. Because
He might want you to do a second camera, I don't know. He sent me to come here because he said the audio was...
Oh, okay.
Asked me if he wants a second camera. Yep.
Yeah, mine.
Ah, brilliant. So it turns out that my audio was live and everybody heard what I was saying. And we were just having a little chat, weren't we, Diane? We were just having, we're live. We were just doing some technical stuff for the streamer. So what's happened now is that we've stopped the speeches. The speeches have stopped because there's an ambulance coming through. And this is something that is something that always happens at Extinction Rebellion. If there's any of the emergency services who need to get through, everything stops. And it's as though the seas part their ways. Very different to the image that much of the press tries to create about Extinction Rebellion. It really is a place of compassion, love, and anything like an ambulance coming through. The speeches stopped. They're about to start again, so let's return to the speeches.
All of you are an inspiration. The beagles at MBR and all those other animals waiting for their liberation and freedom are dependent on our voices and our actions. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. No one of you is bigger than anybody else in this. I'm no more important than any one of you. But if we stand alongside each other together, we can achieve great things. Just look what's happening now, right now, at MBR. A group of people camped out, willing to put themselves in the front line to stop these beagles being sent to laboratories is testament to what this movement can achieve. And we've done it in the past. Amazing things have happened, and amazing things will continue to happen. But I say we've come to a crunch point. We've waited long enough. The MBR beagles have waited long enough, for 40 to 50 years. That site has sent dogs out to their death in UK research laboratories. Even the scientific community now recognises there is no value in these experiments. So why are they continuing? Why are we still allowing this horrific situation to carry on? We must not. We must stand up now. This can't be allowed to carry on. This has to end now, and we have to be the ones to do it. Right? I call on all of society to recognise this. The police, the government, you have to stop this. And on Tuesday, we will be at the Home Office. And remember, the Home Office licensed MBR. The Home Office licensed the laboratories where the beagles go to. The Home Office paid for the police operation to move those dogs a few weeks ago. I say no more. I say on behalf of this movement, on behalf of the British people, enough is a fucking enough. This has to stop now. If you don't listen, we'll make you listen. We'll make you listen, because this movement is not about compromise. There is no compromise on ending animal suffering. There cannot be. There can be no compromise on that. And I would say that the time has come to make that message even more loud and clear. And that's exactly what's happening at MBR Acres now. The people there are determined that this battle line will not be given up, no matter what they do. Drag us through the High Court, arrest us, do whatever you like. But we will not turn our backs on those dogs. We will not let them down. If being in this movement has taught me anything over the last 40 years, it's taught me not to lose faith. And there's plenty of times where I could have done. There are plenty of times when it felt dark. When I came out of prison, I was on licence and I couldn't talk to anyone or do anything. But I'm back again. I'm back again because I'm proud of the animal rights movement. I believe in what you're all doing. I believe we can win this. And we have to stand together to achieve that end. Do not be divided. Do not listen to those who try and divide us. If anyone says it's a waste of time, fuck you. Yeah. Get up and do something. Don't tell us it's a waste of time. Do something. Now. Those beagles at MBR don't care what race you are. They don't care what gender you are. They don't care who you identify as. What they want and what all these animals need is liberation. And you are the people that will deliver that liberation. Right? Don't give in. Believe in what you're doing. Believe that we'll get there, because we will. It seems impossible. It really does. But it is possible. You make it possible. We make it possible together. Let's stand together. Let's fight together. Don't give in. Keep going. Animal liberation is ours. Animal rights is ours. The MBR beagles will be free. Animals will get their rights, and we will make sure that happens. Thank you very much. Keep fighting. Stand together. Don't give in.
We all need Mel Broughton in our rooms in the morning, don't we? Getting us going. Brilliant, Mel. Thank you so much. Are you ready to carry on marching? Yeah! Are you ready to carry on marching? Yeah! Animal liberation! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Let's go, everyone! Let's march!
So the march will now continue. Oh, the march will now continue. That was a short stop for speeches. And it seems as though they just sort of decide which way to go, which is nice. I'm not sure there's any planned route. In fact, I might actually ask this lady what's going on, if I can grab her attention. Excuse me. Excuse me. Extinction Rebellion Live.
Hello.
Fancy saying a few words about why we're here?
Why we're here. So
Go for it. Can I take your name?
Wendy.
Wendy. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in Animal Rebellion and what you guys hope to achieve.
So I'm actually an animal rights activist, and I run a vegan podcast, and I'm on the panelist on the Animal Rights Show.
So while we've got you, do you want to plug your podcast? What's it called?
The podcast is called Thrive Vegan World, and so I interview a variety of guests who are activists and scholars, and we explore different issues in the movement. So yeah.
So do you want to share a little bit about the movement?
I'm passionate about this movement, I'm passionate about animal rights and liberation, and we're here basically to put an end to human supremacy and human exceptionalism, and to bring liberation to all other living beings on the earth. You know, we're here to take a stand and to speak out and stand up for justice for other animals. We're here to fight oppression, and to do that we have to kind of look at all the ways in which we're using and exploiting other animals, from eating them, wearing them, testing on them, to breeding them for all different uses like entertainment and for work, labouring. We have put ourselves above all other living beings on this planet, and it's creating complete devastation. We're trashing their homes, we are destroying their families, tearing them apart, and we are...
Are we ready to charge?
So it's really hard to concentrate with the noise.
It might be hard to concentrate. This mic is really good. It will pick up everything that you're saying. None of your words will be drowned out.
It's my brain that's drowned out. Yeah, so I think we need to start challenging human supremacy and look at how we are oppressing other beings on the planet, and we need to give them space to thrive. We need to stop using and exploiting all other animals, basically. I'm passionate about it, and so is everyone here today.
My family originated from Punjab in northern India, and animal consumption is something that's kind of frowned upon, and vegetarianism is very normal in that part of the world. I mean, it surprises me that in the West it's so acceptable to kill animals and eat them. It's just so strangely normal, and I struggle to get my head around that.
Yeah, and I think eating them is one way that we oppress them, but we oppress them in so many other ways as well. So really we want to bring justice and get respect for their rights, not to be bred, not to be used, not to be killed for any reason, whether it's for consumption or wearing or testing or any other reason, breeding as pets, breeding for work, breeding to exploit in any way. I think we ought to look at all the ways. Not so the consumption is a big element of animal rights, but it's only a part. So veganism is a philosophy that looks to end all oppression of all life and to bring justice, to bring care, to bring equality and respect for all living beings.
So, for people at home watching that feel inspired by your words and want to get involved, what can they do?
There are so many ways to get involved. There's not one way to do activism. You know, I've started running a podcast, and I am part of a panel on the animal rights show, as I said, so we explore topics for other advocates and activists to get involved. I attend demos and protests. You can even do things like leaflet dropping. You can make content online. You can, go stabbing. You can get involved in rescue. There are networks of people in London and throughout the country that are involved in rescuing other animals that are in need of care, that are injured, that are sick. People transporting animals around. There's so many ways to get involved. Find your local grassroots store or group in the community, get involved. Go online, find your local people. There's so many ways that people can get involved. You don't have to wait for someone to tell you what to do. This is grassroots. Everyone should get involved in their community.
On behalf of Extinction Rebellion, thank you ever so much, and keep doing what you're doing. So the march seems to be standstill at the moment. I don't know if we're deciding which way to go or whether the police have stopped us.
Is a lie. Human slaughter is a lie. Human death is a lie. Human murder is a lie. Human slaughter is a lie. We are here for the beagles. We are here for the beagles.
Animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction, deforestation, ocean dead zones, air and water pollution, water scarcity, and ecosystem collapse. Animal farming is responsible for up to 18% of global greenhouse gas emissions. 18%. That's actually more than the entire transportation sector combined. It takes up 83% of global farmlands, but only provides 18% of our calories. I mean, just take that in for a moment. It takes up 83% of global farmlands, but only provides 18% of our calories. A plant-based food system would reduce global farmlands by 75%. That's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it's something that is at the heart. And it's something that's at the absolute heart of climate change, and it's something that needs to be addressed urgently. I'm going to pass across to Louisa, who I can't see but is somewhere on this march. Louisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Endip. Thank you for handing over. We're on the move again. Where are we on the move to? Well, we were just at Unilever, which is a huge multinational company that owns most of the world's sort of big ice cream brands. So that's a lot of dairy in there. They own a huge amount of consumer projects, of course, which include animal ingredients. We're going on to I don't have my notes on me at the moment because I've just eaten a cereal bar. So I can't remember the next destination, but we've got about 4 or 5 places that we're going today around the City of London area. This is the Animal Rights March with Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion. And yeah, we're processing, and it's big and it's loud. And, you know, I know loud. I know loud because I've been to a lot of these actions in the last few days, and we're just about to go to another one of them. A football rebellion action has begun. Yes, that's right, football rebellion. We're going to find out more about that, and over to them.
Good morning, or rather good afternoon. We're outside the Fulham football grounds, Fulham home grounds at Craven Cottage, and we've got a football match happening out just before kickoff. As you can see, we have
the snorkel team, I believe, playing in green, and then we have the life jackets in yellow. So that might have just been a goal for the life jacket team, but if you look behind, you can see we've got 2 of the main banners from the football rebellion. Unite to save football, and climate breakdown equals game over. What Football Rebellion are starting off to protest about today is the fact that 23 of the football grounds in London will be underwater or exposed to extreme flood risk by 2030. If climate change continues, which might mean we'll have more games being played in life jackets and snorkels.
Played out from the back again. Beautiful. Midfield moves. Solid defence from the life jackets. Life jackets. He's taking it all the way. It's cut out. And snorkels back in. Snorkels. Still, it's a goal now.
It's the life jackets. Oh, the ball might
solid
have
Welsh
gone
defence
offside.
player there, bringing it back.
He's open.
He moves it back in.
That was good defence by Snorkels.
Also
Still by Snorkels, still held by Snorkels. And it's going, that was nearly a goal by Snorkels into the life jackets move. Now, I think if we just move slightly over to my right, we actually have a whole list of 23 different football grounds that will be underwater if actually climate change isn't addressed. So I'll just read them out in case people can't see. We have from the Premier League, Chelsea, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Cardiff, QPR, Millwall, Norwich. And in the Championship, we have Cardiff, QPR, Borough, Millwall, Norwich. In the League One, we have Blackpool, Doncaster, Fleetwood, Hull City, Ipswich, Lincoln, Peterborough, Portsmouth, and then finally in League Two, Grimsby Town, Leyton Orient, Morecambe, Newport and Scunthorpe. So let's see, I think it's still being held by, we've got the snorkels now, and then it's going to go to life jackets. Can't quite see because there's so many people around, but anyway, back to the snorkels. Goal for the snorkels! Brilliant kick. I'm going to go see if I can get a couple of reactions from people who are queuing up for the Fulham game. So if you just bear with me a few minutes.
And there's a lot of players here from places that are established. And some TV involvement. The ball's still wild, but midfield movement in front here.
Hi, I'm live streaming. It's for the XR YouTube channel and Facebook channel. Are you happy to give a couple of comments? What do you think about the Football Rebellion protests that are starting off today?
I think it's really adorable. I think it's very relevant because there's a football game happening, and I think it's just a fun way to just like get people, watching this, and then also find out about the issues involved, about what's really happening.
Does it concern you, the fact that so many football grounds might be at extreme flood risk if
I'm concerned more about just football grounds. I'm concerned about everything else that is the residential areas, the shops, the streets. Thousands of people can be affected in just all these small areas, and many thousands of people. Of course, it concerns me. I live close to the river, so I'm very concerned about this. Yeah. So I think it's fantastic that you guys are doing something about it. Letting people know right outside of a football game. I think it's awesome. Anyway.
Do you know what the score is?
There you go.
That match?
Score?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid I haven't actually been keeping track, but I reckon it might be a bit of a soggy one. What do you think?
I think it's 4-4.
4-4? Well, I will take your word for it. You've clearly been paying a lot more attention than I have. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Athletes, all of them. The ball's lost. It's in the bag.
Oh. Okay, is it going back and play? Oh, can we get a cook in? Are we going to go back and play? Oh! And it's back to snorkels. Oh, it's off again!
What do you think of the game so far? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Back to snorkels. Near you got.
They're working on their skills. Desperation moves from the life jackets.
Okay, I'm just going to give a quick chat with the person who's been helping organise this. So, can you just give us an overview why you're here today, what the aim of this is?
Yeah, we're linking football and the problem with climate and climate change. It's following on from a few actions that some things we've done before. There's a report that 23 league clubs are going to be underwater by 2050. Carlisle's one of them, and once they were flooded, that was out for 6 weeks before they could play the next game. So it's a real problem. They've got the problem now. Fulham here, the club shop flooded a few weeks back. So we're raising awareness with some visuals. You can see the game that we're playing here. To the fans, because what we're trying to do is ask the fans to get involved, to write to their clubs, to sign a petition against the government, and to come together a bit like the Super League, where fans can come and tell those in power, look, we got 23 clubs here, and something needs doing quickly. So we're working sort of with fans and with clubs to unite them, because the fans of the club. That's basically the key message is the owners and the players will come and go, but it's actually the fans and their families that'll have it. And who are they going to pass this club on to? If it keeps flooding. So it's about the future fans and the kids and that sort of thing. Yeah. So big target, government targeting government with a petition.
For everyone who's at home watching this live stream, many of whom may be football fans, what can they do?
There is a website, Rebellion Football, so we're here as Rebellion Football. The website is rebellionfootball.earth, so that's rebellionfootball.earth, and there is information on there on the background of all what we're saying, the report about the clubs. What they can do is sign the petition against government. So it's about people coming together across all the clubs and everybody about climate change. The petition, you have to wait for about a week because the petition's still getting put in place, I'm afraid. But do hang on in there because we need everybody together on this. And we think it's a great movement. We've got other clubs already involved in this, and they're already doing talks within their community about climate. So it's just fantastic to do that, and I think we can get some real momentum. But we do need that petition signed, so do please go on the website in a week's time and sign the petition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, the ball running wild off the pitch. It's a testament to the effort being put in by some of these players.
So they're still playing, still in their snorkel or life jacket kit. And for anyone who is just joining us, I'll give a quick update. We're here outside Fulham Football Club at Craven Cottage, and Fulham Football Club is their home grounds is at risk of flooding if climate change mitigation measures aren't put in place. It's very close to the Thames, and also there are quite a number of aquifers or underground rivers and things nearby. Earlier this year, the football club's fan shop actually did flood. And here to demonstrate the risk of flooding of 23 football grounds across the UK, we're having a match between the life jackets in yellow and the snorkels in green. I'm afraid I have no idea what the score is, except it's clearly very soggy and very wet.
Solid defence. The young players there, good to see them brought up into this aqua football game.
That seems to have gone off then. The ball very frequently does seem to go off the pitch, but now it's back with the life jackets. Getting towards still life jackets.
Trapped. Caught through. Beautiful defence from the young signing. He's done amazingly well.
Can we get it off the commentator? Okay. Just going to move over to the other side where we've actually got a proper commentator who does a lot better than I can.
There's a interested member of the public here. Can I ask if you've got a team that's under threat from flooding in the UK?
Cardiff City. Cardiff City, yes, along with all the ones along the Thames here, including Chelsea, West Ham, Millwall, and your very own Fulham as well.
Is there anything you'd like done about that, or anything we can do? What can we do?
I think we can all come together as fans on forums. I think we can contact our clubs, ask them what to do about the flood issue that's coming, because it is coming. Our clubs have been flooded so far, and it's going to get worse. Carlisle flooded. It took them 7 weeks to play another game, and that's what's coming. It's going to get worse. So there's a petition also. Footballrebellion.earth is the website. In a week's time, there's a petition on there, and that will be against government, asking them please to take more action quicker, so our clubs are not flooded.
Thank you very much. Cardiff fan there, enjoying this aqua football game from Football Rebellion. Again, the team's winding up for another assault on the snorkel end. And it's been put through. Look at this, we're seeing a holding defender on an attempting goal. This is beautiful. Lovely work. Even the team mascot getting involved there. It's great to see.
So, Fulham football ground. What's the problem with it?
Well, we're here essentially off the back of some very recent floods that affected the football ground quite badly. And this is something that's going to occur regularly. And as climate change increases, the likelihood of the Thames coming up or side waters, side rivers flooding puts at least 15 clubs along the Thames River at risk of being regularly underwater, and by 2050 potentially permanently underwater if we don't do something about managing climate change, managing how water passes through the town. Members can approach their clubs, they can approach their parliaments, they can look on websites and get the discussion going, because without the discussion we're not going to manage climate change and we're not going to manage floods that impact your football ground. Sunderland was closed for 7 weeks in recent floods. Around the country there's over 50 football stadiums that are potentially going to be below sea level by 2050 or the end of the century.
I mean, you're saying that the Thames, is going to rise and to potentially flood Fulham football ground. Why can't we just build a bigger barrage?
Well, that might be a solution, but there's no discussion about that at the time, and it's not going to get rid of the problem of climate change. The current barrage is good, but it wasn't designed for the sort of sea levels that we're predicting for the future. It was designed for sea levels in the 70s. We have to address the problem at core, which is climate change and changing the way we use carbon, changing the way we are affecting the weather.
Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon again from Fulham football grounds, from the home grounds at Craven Cottage. We're here with Football Rebellion in their inaugural match, Life Jackets versus Snorkels. This is to demonstrate or promote the fact that so many football grounds across the UK are at flood risk if climate change continues, and the increasingly unpredictable weather and increased flood risk will mean that many more football games may just happen to be underwater. I believe that around today we've also got the Animal Rebellion happening up in, it started off near Smithfield with a march, and there may also be something happening around Brixton. I think that was just a goal that was almost scored by the by the snorkel team, and then it goes back to the life jackets, and the ball went offside again. Shall I wind up? Okay. But I think for now we're just going to go and pass back to the Animal Rebellion and their actions in central London and Smithfield.
We have two supporters of the Animal Rebellion March, or it's actually it's the Animal Rights March, which includes members of Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion, and other animal pressure groups for a more sustainable way of living on the earth without exploiting animals. I noticed your posters. What is it that's brought you here today? Can you just identify yourselves and say what's brought you here today and what you feel particularly passionate about?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Mark, and I'm here today to stand up for the people that don't have a voice of their own. So I personally turned vegan about 18 months ago after realising that it's not a particularly nice industry. That did a lot of research and realised that I don't need to eat animals or consume animal products for me to live and thrive and get all the nutrients I need. And also, the environmental impact of animal farming, animal agriculture, is damaging the planet. It's going to have a devastating effect long term, and I want to put a stop to that with myself and also encouraging others to do so. And lastly, animal testing. So there's still a lot of animal testing that goes on for cosmetic products and things like that. There is a big topic at the moment is Camp Beagle up in Peterborough sort of area. There are beagle dogs that are being raised and sent up to laboratories to be tested on, and it's absolutely horrific. It's been going on for not a lot of people know it happens, but it's been going on for a long time. So to raise awareness for that and stand against that.
It's fantastic. There's been a lot of recent studies, and more studies are coming out about the intelligence, the true intelligence of animals that we've overlooked for so many years. So that's thank you very much for your thoughts on that. And what do you think?
I mean, everything he said and more. I mean, I'm here for every single animal, for farm animals, circus animals, animals being experimented on, just any animal that is badly treated and can't speak for itself. That's why I'm here. Like I say, everything he's already said.
Yeah, but animals, they seem such a presence in our lives, but we quite often take them completely for granted, their needs and their rights, don't we?
Yeah. People just don't realise we need to raise awareness. Like, ignorance can be bliss, but it's not good enough. People need to know, and then at least they can make an informed decision, and hopefully the right one.
And of course, that's without saying the effect they're having on the climate emergency just overall is quite horrific, isn't it? The amount of greenhouse gases that they produce.
There is no planet B. There is no planet B, as the top says.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's becoming more common knowledge now that the meat and dairy industry is one of the leading causes of climate breakdown. If we do continue doing what we're doing, as I said, there is no planet B. You'll see eco-diversity will break down.
It's already breaking down.
Well, it will continue to break down. You'll have hotter countries becoming unbearable to live, and you'll have mass migration on a scale that you haven't seen. People fighting for food and things like that. It's just a pretty dystopian future, but it's not a very nice future that we're also trying to avoid.
Anyone that's got children, the next generation, that there won't be anything here for them. If you've got children especially, I don't understand why you're not doing something about it.
Quite. That's lovely. Thank you for your thoughts today.
No worries. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, you're back with us at live now at the Animal Rights March for Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion, part of the Impossible Rebellion for 2 weeks. We're almost through week 1 now, and we're doing what we do best, actually, which is a sit-in. We can see a lot more people now because of that. It's quite impressive, really. We're going to listen to some speeches. Oh, it's Cargill. Okay, well, here's something about Cargill, which is one of those companies you don't hear a lot about normally.
Tim Bailey, who's lead environment regulator in England for livestock pollution and environmental author. So I'll hand it over to you, Tim.
Thank you. Happy with that. It's raining on Cargill. Today, I don't speak for myself or anyone else. I speak purely for the animals and the environment they live in. Livestock farming and sea fishing contribute greatly to the ensuing climate crisis, to disastrous ecological impacts, including deforestation and biodiversity loss, to serious environmental damage, including the pollution of water, soil and air, to severe violations of human and animal rights, and to antibiotic resistance, including acting as a potential petri dish for zoonotic diseases. It's not only livestock that we are unkind to, but those impacted by the farming and sea fishing for our selfish pleasures. Those harmed by the toxic animal waste poured into our rivers, our seas and into our drinking water. Animals we extradite from their rightful homes, or we otherwise kill, or whose habitat we turn into vast tracts of monoculture. We lord for their landscape, when we turn instead of the value of the biodiversity that was there before. The entanglement, pain and death suffered by sea creatures caught up in the ghost gear or bycatch, and animals whose face does not fit on our farmland, such as badgers, mountain hares, stoats, foxes and some birds of prey, to name but a few. Some species we conserve, like the red grouse. We do so because if we didn't, there wouldn't be enough to shoot. We stand outside Cargill today, a company in good part behind a massive expansion of broiler units and animal slaughter across Herefordshire and Shropshire, making the counties the capital of chicken abuse. Home to around a quarter of the UK's broiler chickens. Let me tell you, a typical broiler unit finishes about 1.5 million chickens a year. They consume 1,000 tons of soya meal. That has a South American rainforest footprint of 500 hectares, the size of nearly 700 Wembley Stadium football pitches, and with an annual carbon footprint of 2,000 tons, the same as a 170 strong dairy herd. The Cerrado, where evidence suggests at least some of the soya comes from, is home to 251 species of mammals, 856 avifauna, 262 reptiles, 204 amphibians, and many other rare animals and plants. In fact, the Cerrado's ecosystem profile lists nearly 1,600 terrestrial and freshwater species classified as globally threatened. And we're eating the soya from the rainforests where they now have been removed. We should all be disturbed by these figures, along with the cruelty caused by Kentucky Fried Chicken, Nando's, and a £3 supermarket chicken. If we count all the deforestation we feed to UK livestock, it would amount to 1.5 million hectares of rainforest. A typical UK woodland contains half the carbon of a rainforest. To offset that amount of carbon, we'd have to plant 3 million hectares of trees with over 4 billion trees. And that's before we start dealing with the impacts of livestock in our own country. The government targets to plant 30,000 hectares of woodland a year. At that rate, it would take 100 years to make up that 3 million hectares. And they want to do it for net zero by 2050 on time. And it's not just land-based biodiversity that suffers to feed chickens, but the oceans too. Each broiler chicken eats 2 to 3 small fish each. So a normal broiler farm can eat up to about 5 million small fish. And it doesn't matter how small you are, the pain for those animals is exactly the same. If you... Thank you for the animals. If you add up all the soybean meal fed to livestock associated with deforestation, it adds up to all those who eat meat, dairy, fish, to about a tennis court each of rainforest ecocide. As livestock farms both concentrate and intensify, which they're doing in parts of the UK, the land available within economic distance to spread all the waste they produce shrinks with it. As a result, the land becomes over-fertilised, our soils degraded, increasing the risk of nutrients such as phosphorus and nitrogen entering our rivers, causing nutrient enrichment, which in turn contributes to blocking the sunlight, killing aquatic species, preventing photosynthesis, reducing the oxygen water levels, conditions which kill invertebrates and fish that need the well-oxygenated water, and all the life that lives from them. Environment Agency figures show that only 14% of English rivers are of good ecological status, with none achieving a good chemical status. Whilst it's not just livestock farming that causes this, in some places they are now the main cause. I've mentioned a few ways livestock farming harms animals. An irony is that too many people work hard to prevent pollution and to restore biodiversity in the UK and in other parts of the world. And they scream at deforestation and the harm climate change is causing to our world. Then, at breakfast, lunch and dinner, they tuck into the very meat, dairy, eggs and fish which contribute to the things they seek to protect. I'm also often told, in my world, by people that they only eat a moderate amount of animal foods and they're doing their bit for the environment. If all people ate as moderately as they do, we'd need 2.6 Earths. And if we lived in America and ate like them, 5 Earths. You cannot eat these things moderately. We eat them not at all. Avoiding eating meat, dairy, eggs and fish is the single best thing a person can do to eradicate their impact on the environment, to all animals and to biodiversity as a whole. Science must conform to facts, but facts that do not favour the livestock industry and those associated with the industry are all too often ignored and subverted, either deliberately or in ignorance of fact, by those who want to or have to believe that anything other than the need to consume animal-based food is corrupted messaging. If we are to survive on this planet, we need to uncover our eyes, unplug our ears, ungag our mouths, and see, hear, and verbally question everything about animal food production. We need to stop pretending we are the victims, because the only casualties here are the animals we harm. We need to change from the cultures and tradition that feverishly defend livestock farming, which look the other way to the abuse and injury we subject vulnerable animals to. We need to end this tragedy. Hope for our future lives in kindness. We have a way to go. Go vegan. Go vegan! Thank you.
My hips are up to always getting up and down. Thanks, Tim. Great talk. Yeah, we don't want to reduce anything. We can't reduce oppression by a little bit. It's not just a little bit of murder that we want to do. We want to abolish it, right? We're only going to accept a complete end to animal oppression, nothing less than liberation. Abolition, not reducitarian, right? Are you ready to carry on marching? Do you want a little bit more of a rest? Are you tired? You ready to go? How's everyone feeling? Are you feeling good? Enjoying yourselves? When I come around, it really is so heartwarming. As a young girl, I used to feel like such an alien on this planet because of how I felt about other animals. It's so heartwarming to look around and see so many people who feel the same as I do. So thank you so much for making me feel not like an alien anymore. Right, everyone, are you ready to march? Yes! Come on! Are you ready to march? Yes! Do we want justice? Yes! Where do we want it? No! What do we want? Justice! Where do we want it? No! What do we want? Liberation! Where do we want it? Now! Go vegan! Go vegan! Go vegan! Go vegan! Go vegan! Let's march, everyone!
Time is running out. The effects of climate and ecological breakdown are everywhere, and they're getting worse. Millions of people and billions of animals are suffering due to extreme weather events as a result of our government and multinational corporations exploiting our planet for profit. And this is only the start. Every single day, our world leaders fail to adequately address the climate emergency. Now it's time for us to pressure them to acknowledge the urgency of this crisis and to take drastic action. Now is the time to rebel for all life.
Welcome back after that short video pause, just to show a little bit of what Animal Rebellion has done in the past and what we're fighting against. All those figures about climate change are very distressing, and about animal agriculture and animal suffering, which is so bound up with climate change, the impacts on the planet from the way that we eat. So welcome back. We're just about to start marching again. Just going to show my face for a minute so you know who's talking to you. So yes, Animal Rights March. This is on day 6 of the Impossible Rebellion. Animal Rebellion is separate from Extinction Rebellion, but we are allied in what we call a movement of movements. So that's people with slightly different focuses of their activism, and collectivizing in their groups, and then within those large groups, for instance, Animal Rebellion, and we've seen Ocean Rebellion here as well today. They come together with their specialties and their interests, and we're pressing for system change. So that's the movement of movements. And we've stopped at Unilever, stopped at Cargill as well. Cargill being they were just talking about broiler chickens, and Cargill is a very big company that deals with animal agriculture, which you hardly ever hear about. They deal a lot with feedstock, actually, I believe, for animals around the world, and sort of middlemen for selling that on. And now we're going to make a few more stops as well. So everybody's mobilised again. We were in a sit-in, which was actually really impressive because you could see everybody. I put my camera up high, and you could really sort of see the sea of people, which is a bit more difficult to do when everybody's standing up. But we're just getting ready to go again. Getting the microphone chants going. And we will begin to march again in a minute and look for some more perspectives from the rebels here. That's where we're headed. And see, we're actually going to make a circle back round Smithfield Market, I believe. I think we're about halfway through. This march is supposed to go until about 5:30, but of course it all depends on what we're feeling like holding this space.
Their bodies, their babies.
A lot of people here today. I am absolutely terrible at estimating numbers, but I think it's probably about, well, it's got to be over 1,000, I would say. And most days we've had mass participation events for Extinction Rebellion. In the Impossible Rebellion, which started on Monday, we've had probably similar numbers. Really, really great to connect with everybody from around the country again after being. We were tried to organise ourselves during COVID online and with actions when we were able to, but now we're really able to come together again, still with social distancing as much as possible, and. We've got XR doctors advising us on how to stay safe while we protest, taking lateral flow tests every few days, and staying away obviously if we have COVID or we have a positive PCR test. So we are taking steps to keep each other safe. And brilliant to see the Animal Rebellion contingent out, which is a really well. Animal Rebellion, they're a large contingent of the kind of rebellion movement of movements, but they've they've had amazing publicity about some of the actions that they've done. One of which, only a few months ago, was targeting McDonald's, and not just McDonald's, but I think it's the only factory in Britain. They blockaded it with what might now be quite famous to a lot of you, the tensegrity structures, which is like bamboo structures kind of crossed over and then held with metal wires, like one on top of each other. And you have rebels actually sitting up in amongst the mesh of that, and they're blockading the road into that burger factory. Oh, we're turning around. I'm just going to stand still and let people come past me. That's a good shot. Yes, and they held that space for over 24 hours and stopped the supply chains of McDonald's, and that was very high-profile action in the media. So that's why we're doing it. We're doing it so that we can get the most attention possible and educate people about these issues of animal cruelty and animal exploitation and its links to climate change. So we're going to keep marching, of course, keep going on our way. I'm going to go for some more interviews, and we're going to pass to Football Rebellion to see a little bit more of the match over there.
Good afternoon, and I'm speaking here from the home of Fulham FC at Craven Cottage. So far today we've been covering the Animal Rebellion marches in Smithfield and also the inaugural Football Rebellion game of snorkels versus life jackets to highlight the fact that so many football grounds are at risk of flood if the climate chaos continues. I've no idea what the score was, but we've hopefully been able to reach out to various members or various fans of Fulham Football Club. If you're watching at home, you're interested in football, you want to find out more, there's footballrebellion.earth is the website to look at. And I believe now we're going to be able to show some of the video clips that we collected earlier of the day from fans coming, talking about what they might, what their fears or hopes are for the future of football.
It looks like that's it. We were Charlie at Fulham Football Club. How's the game going?
It's going really well, thanks Alex. Yeah, it's just been non-stop from one end to the other, the pitch today. Very competitive, it's really fun.
Very good. Why are you doing this today?
I've been a lifelong football fan. I've always played since I was about 5 or 6, and it's very important to me as a game. And by 2050, 26 clubs will be underwater, so it's just really worrying. We need to act now to do something about it, basically. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you for your time.
Cool.
Alright, I found a local Welsh boy playing some football. Can you tell us how the game went at the Fulham Football Stadium?
Well, I think it was a great spectacle, fans. You know, luckily we didn't have any rain today, but we came prepared just in case, like we're going to have to do in the future. But I think we all had a bit of fun and we got a message across, hopefully.
I mean, what is the message and why are you here?
We're here to warn the football clubs about the risk of flooding, which they reckon that 23 out of the 90 clubs are going to be flooded by 2050, which is going to mean they're going to have to move ground, which is going to be a considerable cost and disruption up until they can do that. But also the effect on grassroots sport, in that youngsters won't be able to play as regularly because of flooded pitches, which are generally on places liable to flooding. In Swansea, it's a particularly problem because the amount of water we get, but that's going to affect the whole of the country. But not only flooding, you're going to get heat extremes, which means it's going to be very difficult for children to play football from a safety perspective because they don't adjust to high temperatures as well as adults. So basically what we're saying is that children aren't going to be able to enjoy the game we love as we did because of the way we're treating the planet, and we're not acting to reverse the conditions which already struck us and are going to get much worse.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
So good afternoon everyone, and as you may have just seen, that we are just wrapping up with the Football Rebellion's inaugural match outside the home of Fulham FC, Craven Cottage. That was to highlight the fact that so many football grounds will be underwater if we don't do something about climate change. Earlier in our live stream, you'll have seen from Animal Rebellion, the animal activists and animal rights movements, as they went around Smithfield and might just have scored a goal. Well, hopefully this will have been a goal for Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion and Football Rebellion. I hope you've all really enjoyed the live stream, and do share it with friends, catch up on bits that you've missed, and join us either at footballrebellion.earth or check out the Animal Rebellion website. Thank you for watching.
So that was Football Rebellion, and that's much different part of London for us. I think that was in Fulham, but they might have moved on, because I know they were planning a few different football matches, symbolic matches around the city. We were just passing St. Paul's. We're getting a little bit constrained in here now as we move along. We've stopped at Unilever, stopped at Cargill, and we're on to our next site in this part of the City of London that it contributes to animal agriculture and animal exploitation. So this is the march, the Animal Rights March, on day 6 of the Impossible Rebellion, and this is Animal Rebellion. As my camera is just showing really, really well here on the back of this person's jacket. Animal Rebellion, tell the truth about animal suffering, tell the truth about the climate crisis. I wonder if I can maybe talk to our jacket wearer. Let's just see. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, I was just noticing your jacket, really admiring it. I'm on the XR UK live stream. I wondered if you would mind saying a few words about why you're here today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Hi there. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm John. I'm from Hampshire. I'm here to stand up for the animals, to create conversations around animal exploitation and its effects on the climate as well.
Yeah. Which effects are you worried about mostly?
I think everything is very worrying. I don't think it's one thing. Everything is contributing to the climate crisis, and and animal abuse is just part of it.
Was there anything that kind of started you on this journey?
Sorry?
So was there anything that started you on this journey towards realizing that climate change and animal exploitation are so linked?
This started for me 2-3 years ago. I went through some traumas and kind of just needed a purpose, and I kind of found purpose, connecting with people who think like me, and standing up for something that is beyond us. Yeah.
It's definitely a good feeling of community here, isn't it, today? Yeah. Are you a vegan yourself?
Sorry?
Are you a vegan yourself?
I am vegan, yeah.
And do you normally see this many vegans in the same place?
No. I went to vegan camp out last week. That was amazing. Yeah.
I've heard a few people did that here, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say today to XR UK?
No, that's it, yeah.
Thanks for talking to us.
That's cool, yeah, cheers.
No worries. So hearing about a lot of people who've some people I was talking to earlier, they've been activists for years on animal rights issues. Other people who I've just talked to, they're not so, some come to it more newly, realizing that there's something wrong with the system that we live in, specifically around the amount of meat products that we consume, the amount of dairy. And I mean, as we've seen, it goes so far. It's about animal testing. There's a lot of people here who are against animal testing, and also I'm not sure I've seen any people who have anti-hunting placards and things. But it's possible that they are also here as well. There's quite a few people here, as I said, probably over about 1,000. So I haven't seen everybody, I'm sure. Flags there of Extinction Rebellion, very iconic protest symbol now these days, since Extinction Rebellion's foundation in November 2018, I think. It seems like it's come a very long way since then, and post-COVID, this impossible rebellion is a way of us reconnecting and restating our demands, and our immediate demand this year. This rebellion is saying that we must stop funding new fossil fuel developments by the government immediately. Okay. And it's very loud here now. I'm going to pass over to where it's perhaps a little bit less loud, to another interview that we have with my colleague Endit.
How are we doing, guys? We're back at the Animal Rights March. It's absolutely massive. And I found Jasmine here, who's got this fantastic banner. About 150,000 cows are sent to the slaughterhouse each year whilst pregnant. 40,000 of these are heavily pregnant. That's a frightening statistic. Jasmine, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Talk to me about your banner.
Well, I saw it on an Earthling Ed video, so I thought I'd just put it in there.
And you've come down from Portsmouth with your mother for the day?
Yeah, Portsmouth.
You were telling me you're a biomedical scientist, and I understand that involves some amount of testing on animals?
Yeah, I study biomedical science at the University of Southampton, and they frequently do animal experiments, but they offer you an alternative where you don't have to use animals, and I always opt out. And if enough people opt out, they won't kill the animal. Like, for example, doing an experiment on a frog where you had to stab it in the head. Or in
stab a frog in the head?
Oh, no. So this experiment requires a brain-dead frog, and another company stabs it in the head for our university. But if 2 people opt out, that means 1 less frog is killed. What we have to do in the experiment is tie a band around its heart and stop its heart from beating.
Sorry, say that again?
We have to tie a band around its heart and stop it from beating.
And you did that?
No, I opted out. There's no way I could do that.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. So, just out of interest, what percentage of students opt out of this?
Not very many. I only know 1 other who did it. And that's out of like hundreds.
So you've obviously come all the way from Portsmouth today to be here at this march and to support Animal Rebellion. What's your motivation? What are your thoughts?
Well, my main motivation is for the animals, but I really like the fact that Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion are working together, because I also care about the environment because it affects animals as well, like the polar bears, of course, and the monkeys, you know, palm oil.
So I presume that you're a vegan?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and thank you so much for coming all the way from Portsmouth for the day. Enjoy the rest of the march. And thank you for this wonderful banner. It was a university student from Portsmouth who's come down for the day. The numbers here are just phenomenal. It's just, there are so many people. There's Ocean's Rebellion, who we spoke to earlier on. They have turned up with an octopus. As we said earlier, animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction, deforestation, ocean dead zones, air and water pollution, water scarcity, and ecosystem collapse. There's really a changing tide in the world about consumption of meat, and the turnout here is an indication of that. Every day as a vegan, I see supermarkets and restaurants adding more vegan lines to their menus, and make no mistake, they don't do that out of any sort of compassion for animals. They do that because there's a demand, and we the consumer have really got to fuel that demand and make those changes. Every time you go to a a restaurant and ask for the vegan menu, that filters through to the powers that be in those organisations. And it's those changes, those actions that are bringing about that change in the market with an increasing amount of vegan food. The drummers here, you can't hear much above these drummers. They're absolutely fantastic. Animal farming is responsible for just under 20% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's more than the entire transportation sector combined. It takes up 83% of global farmlands. 83%. But only provides less than 20% of our calories. A plant-based food system would reduce global farmlands by 75%. And that's the big call here today, for a switch to a plant-based diet. What always surprises, shocks me in fact, is that we're asking for this change. How has meat consumption become so normal in the Western world? I'm pretty much at the back end of this march. If you can see from this camera view, it's absolutely massive. I understand now that Louisa has got someone she's going to interview, so I cut across to Louisa. Louisa, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
How we can ensure that we're not five people, we're able to reach out to a large number of groups.
Hi, we're back at sort of the middle of the march here, and I've come across a contingent from the animal rights charity PETA, which probably quite a lot of you know. So hi, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about why you're here today with PETA?
Absolutely. So my name is Simon Plazolis Hayes. I'm the Youth Outreach and Campaigns Officer at PETA UK. And we're here to join in the Animal Rights March as a way of showing our solidarity and calling for an end of animal exploitation and abuse, not only in the UK, but worldwide.
Sounds like a very, fairly concise and very sensible aim there. How's it going? How do you feel things are? Have you done this role for quite a long time?
I've been in this role for over 3 years. PETA's been around for 40 years globally. We have done some absolutely amazing things in this year alone. We've seen the luxury brand Canada Goose ban fur, as well as make some massive strides for animals elsewhere. Animal rights is making huge gains in this country and abroad, and we're here to progress that from the forefront.
Amazing. And do you feel that linking up with different groups such as Animal Rebellion is going to help further that?
Any group that's out there promising non-violent resistance and pushing a vegan and animal rights agenda is always going to be tremendous. We're in the middle of a massive movement to shift towards more ethical, more sustainable products and move away from exploiting animals regardless of the reason.
It's very inspiring to be here with all these people today. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Absolutely. If you're out there and you're looking to get interested in our work and want to do more for animal rights, go to www.peta.org.uk. And if you're not already a vegan, now's the time to do it. Going vegan is the most impactful thing an individual can do to not only reduce the suffering of animals, but also play a part at stopping climate change, which is fueled by animal agriculture.
Well, thanks for your amazing work with Youth Outreach. I wish you all the best of luck with that and enjoy the rest of the march.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
And these are your people right here. Yeah, I'll just show some of the other PETA supporters. Say hi. Hi. And we we are moving, I was about to say swiftly on, not so swiftly on, it's a march. I've got the samba behind me. I might try and go and speak to a samba band member actually once they're taking a break from drumming, because they're always good fun to talk to. Yeah, let's get over to the side and have a little glance at the kind of, get a look at the glance view of what's going on here. Yeah, 6 selfie alerts. We have, I don't know whether we've grown in numbers, but I think it might just be that the streets are slightly more constricted now. But the march, like I said, is it's deafening. So I'm really hoping everybody can hear on the live stream what I'm saying, and also keep the comments coming. I don't think we're putting comments on the live stream today. Sometimes we kind of display a few of the top ones just for people to see on the screen. But if you're using that space as a discussion space, please just keep it considerate and respectful of other people, in line with the principles of XR, which is about respecting other people and being empathetic. Thank you very much for that. And on we go. I can tell you after a whole week of doing this with every single day I seem to have samba in my ears, I think I'm going to be totally deaf. But it's all for a good cause and the feeling of community here. Just like some of our speakers have said, they found their community, and it is an absolutely amazing atmosphere. You know, whether you're vegan or whether you're not, I have to say I'm not actually a vegan. I'm a vegetarian. I do eat some dairy and some eggs, so I hope I'm not going to get haters for that. But I'm very aware of the ecological impacts of my food, and I'm trying to buy those dairy elements. You know, just to be mindful of the sourcing, really. And again, like one of our, I've forgotten the organisation she came from, it seems like such a long time ago. The lady I was talking to earlier with the black t-shirt, who has been a kind of long-time activist, was saying that, you know, those marks that you find on your consumer goods, sorry, that's kind of like your fridges and things like that. I mean, the marks that you find on your food, like free-range and organic, you do have to be aware that that's not necessarily everything that they're cracked up to be, especially with free-range. You've probably been seeing some of the videos that we've been showing of Animal Rebellion, and showing that actually free-range is often still very intensive. We're going to stop at the Marine Stewardship Council very soon, which is another label that makes people think, oh, I'm buying fish, but you know, it's all nice and sustainable. But actually, I don't know if anybody's seen Seaspiracy, where they talked a lot about, it's a big Netflix kind of documentary talking a lot about labels, not the Marine Stewardship Council, but another one which I can't remember now, I'm afraid, based in the States. And just saying that it's actually impossible to know, especially with fishing. Once those fisher boats go out there, it's almost impossible really to be able to police and identify exactly what's going on. So often those practices are not sustainable at all. I'll leave you to watch Seaspiracy if you like. It's a really informative film, and there's quite a bit of debate about how accurate it is, but the sentiment is very raw. I think another streamer has an interview, so we're going to send over to them.
Right, we're here at the Animal Rights March with a man who calls himself Hench Herbivore. And I think you can figure out why. Mr. Hench Herbivore, welcome to Extinction Rebellion Live.
Thank you, I'm having a fantastic time. Thanks for putting this on, like we need to be heard, and thank you guys.
So, you've obviously got a few things to say about having a plant-based diet and being healthy.
Yes. Yeah, so I've been vegan 9 years. Only plants make protein. We and other animals merely recycle that protein. To eat meat for protein is akin to eating mud because we're after the water. We don't need all this shit that comes with it. And like, I've never been bigger, stronger, leaner, and healthier. My blood pressure's way down. I just feel so amazing. And we just don't need to hurt animals. And no one wants to hurt animals. We've been lied to. And we don't need to do it. Promise you.
You say that you've been vegan for 9 years.
Yes.
So when you switched, did you feel any changes, any disadvantages?
I'll be honest, because I eat a healthy vegan diet, so it's a lot of fibre, a lot of water, it was a little harder to get the calories in, but with a little knowledge, more nuts and seeds, calorically rich foods like tropical fruits, dried fruits, legumes, whole grains, a couple of protein shakes, it can be done. And recovery, I just feel amazing, more energy, better recovery, less pain. And when you're dieting, when you want to lean up, I'm nearly half a century old, you know.
Wow.
And you know, last summer I had the best abs of my life, and it was easy. It was easy. It's the way. It's the cheat. A whole foods vegan diet is a cheat code to looking good and feeling amazing.
You mentioned the protein shakes. So the industry is a mass with whey protein,
yes.
And as a vegan, you're not drinking whey protein. So what's your take on whey and the alternative proteins that are out there?
A new study just came out a few weeks ago out of Rio de Janeiro University, and they had soya-based protein shake versus whey, and they had people doing leg training, omnivorous and vegan. There was no difference in the ability to grow muscle, to build strength, and the lead researcher was not vegan at the start. He's vegan now because he says, if I can do that, I'd not be the orchestrator of my own death from heart disease. Why wouldn't I? So we've got another vegan among us.
As a guy who loves being in the gym, I'm just going to ask you questions that I want to know about. And I hope everybody watching cares too. You talk about soya protein. Do you think that's better than the vegetable proteins out there? Like the pea proteins and those?
Yeah.
Was there a difference?
I think they're all good. I actually use a fermented pea protein and hemp protein by VivoLife, which they third-party test for over 500 contaminants. So it's like the top end, like the healthiest one. Any vegan protein powder will do the job there. It's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant.
Yeah. Just because I'm interested, let me know, what's your diet?
Mostly whole foods, so a lot of legumes, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, all the herbs and spices. I eat as much of that as I can. I get 150 grams of protein just from my diet. The average person only needs 50 grams of protein. So I'm like 3x in. Of course, I'm a gym goer, so I need a little more. I have a couple of protein shakes to bring up to 200, you know, which is a benefit. But for the masses, you don't need protein shakes, you just need to eat real food. If you're eating donuts and biscuits, drinking like Coca-Cola, yeah, you can have a deficient vegan diet. If you eat real food, Harvard University said, on average, vegetables have 16 times the amount of nutrients relative to meat. So it's better to eat vegan.
You raise a really, really interesting point. You hear a lot, well, not a lot, but you certainly hear of vegans, people that have turned vegan and talk about not being healthy. They really need to look at the type of vegan food that they're eating, because, as you say, Coca-Cola's vegan.
Yes.
Doesn't make it any good.
Yeah, vegan is not a useful word when it comes to diet. So vegan is an ethical stance, and that tells me you don't eat animals, which is good for your health, but you can still be eating sugar and refined oils. You can still be hurting yourself. So it's not vegan versus omnivorous eating, it's whole foods vegan or whole foods plant-based diet versus animal products, salt, oil, sugar, processed junk. We need to eat single ingredient foods, not a box full of ingredients on the list. We need to eat the single ingredients.
I'm so interested in what you're saying, and I'm also conscious that I can't keep doing this interview all day long. So can you grab me later on?
Sure.
Because I really want to talk to you even more. And I presume that you're a bodybuilder?
Yes.
Just do your thing. Just come on, just do your thing. Let's see the biceps. Let's see the biceps. Hey!
They know you're looking at them.
Thanks a lot, bro. And you're
Hedge Herbivore Online.
Hedge Herbivore Online. Give him a shout. Thank you ever so much. Take care, bro. That was Mr. Hedge Herbivore. Not only had a lot of wisdom to share, didn't mind showing off his physique for the cameras. We've stopped here not far from St. Paul's. Got a few people sitting, standing at the front. Let's just find somebody to talk to. Extinction Rebellion Live. Who wants to say something? Someone. Anyone? There we go, here he is. Here's a man that wants to talk. Talk to me. Extinction Rebellion live. You don't get a second chance.
What do I say?
Just blow me away.
Just go vegan, stop messing around, pull your finger out and do it.
Yeah? How long have you been vegan?
About 6 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 years for you. We'll come to you in a moment if you don't mind.
Sorry?
We'll come to you in a moment. Well, 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 years.
Any health changes, benefits?
No, I feel good. My cardio's definitely improved.
Has it?
Cardio's definitely better. Easily do a 5k in under 20 minutes with very little training, which is...
We've gone from interviewing to just showing off now, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's all turned around.
Yeah, well, you know. No, yeah, I feel good. Feel good. No regrets, other than I should have done it sooner.
Fantastic. Yeah. And this lovely lady with you?
Yeah.
She's
Are you guys
mum.
together?
She's my mum.
Yeah. Personal question.
Well,
Yeah.
personal question. People want to know what's going on.
I've just been eating. So.
Just been eating.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for me, I used to have really bad cystic acne, and then that's what kind of led me onto the path of stopping eating dairy, and then I came across Freely, the banana girl, on YouTube, and then once
you came across
Freely.
Can you tell everybody what that is for those that don't know?
Freely, the banana girl, is a YouTuber, vegan YouTuber, and I came across her channel, and when I saw what actually goes on, I made the change. I went vegan for the animals. It became an ethical thing, not just a health thing. And then obviously now we know about the environmental aspect of it as well. So, yeah.
And in terms of any sort of health changes when you became vegan, what did you experience?
Well, when I quit eating dairy, my skin, I didn't get any more cystic acne. I've never had it since. And just generally I feel like I'm living in alignment, like with my true values, and so that just feels really good, and I don't feel like a hypocrite anymore, you know. And so for me, it's more that level of things. But health-wise, I'm thriving, and I don't understand people that talk about vegans as if we're weak or as if we, you know, that you need your protein and all of this. It's like you can get all the nutrients you need from plants. So, yeah.
You say something really interesting, and I remember when I used to eat meat many years ago, and you said, I don't feel like a hypocrite anymore. And I think that as human beings, most of us feel like hypocrites when we eat meat. We just sort of bury those feelings.
Cognitive dissonance.
That was very evident when Jackie was trying to get me to be vegan.
Because I went vegan like a little bit before he did, and it got to the point where I just couldn't deal with it.
Really?
Yeah.
I was burying my head in the sand, wasn't I?
Yeah.
You were trying to encourage me to watch the documentaries, Earthlings and Cowspiracy, but, you know, I knew that I wouldn't like what I would see, you know, so, yeah, I was burying my head in the sand, trying to just forget about it, but eventually I broke, and I watched it, and I was like, all right, I'm definitely heading in that direction. I don't know if I can do it overnight, and I couldn't do it overnight. Well, I could have if I really put my mind to it, I guess, but yeah, I got there in the end. And
yeah, I did it
never
step
looked
by
back.
step as well. So it wasn't just overnight for me. I quit the dairy. I'd already stopped eating like cows and pigs anyway after a trip to Thailand. Long story. But yeah, then after I saw Freely's videos, then I was like, right, I'm not eating eggs. I'm not eating fish.
And I think it's important to say that you don't have to be a hippie to be a vegan. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just be a normal person that just
stereotype, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say this, because
There's nothing wrong with that.
there is a stereotype. I actually consider myself a bit of a hippie. Yes, but when you say you don't have to be, just if you don't mind sharing, like, I presume you've got normal jobs, you're not hippie. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a hippie, let's be fair.
Jackie's a bit of a hippie. But I'm a block manager, so I manage blocks of flats. So pretty.
That's not very hippie at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not a hippie, but I care about the planet. I care about animals, and that's just being vegan is just the logical thing to do. Just as basic as that. Just not being a hypocrite, basically. So,
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. You make a lovely couple, and this has gone live, and you've managed not to embarrass yourselves. You've done really well. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. A couple of activists there talking about their vegan journey. I think there are some speeches going on somewhere. I can hear them in the distance. Let's take a little walk around. The more meat we eat, the fewer people we can feed. Meat is murder. There's lots of people that have really gone to a lot of trouble to make banners and get this message out there. Vegan for the animals. The police seem to be getting involved in something over here. Something's offended them. Let's have a look. Right. So there's the police seem to have offended some of the activists here. I hear that Louisa has another interview, so I will cut to Louisa. Louisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Endiv. Yes, we don't know where you are, but we've got a big drawn-out march here, and I've just come across some really nice chalking on the floor, actually. Some really simple but true messages about animal exploitation. And I've come across a group of friends, I suppose, from Animal Rebellion. Yeah? Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Chandu.
Hi, Chandu. Nice to meet you. And why have you come today to be on this march?
Change is now. Wake up before it's too late. Our planet is dying, and it's really, really true. And every day that the animals suffer, and every day that they are kept in captivity, abused, tortured, used when they don't need to be, they don't have to be, the more our planet dies. And I think the more people who can wake up and just change, because it's really simple to do, then the world will be a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And what brought you to this realisation in the end? Has it been a long path, or have you only just come?
I've been vegan for 4.5 years, and it was after I met my boyfriend, because he was vegan and had a very passionate vegan, and he just told me, if you're not vegan, then you're not a very nice person. And I was like, I think it's true. And then I went vegan.
And actually, when you start eating a plant-based diet, you realise that you don't. Well, I found certainly that I'm not actually a vegan. I do eat some dairy, but you get used to it very quickly, don't you? And you don't need that meat. Is that what you would say?
I would say that the healthiest people I know are vegan. Like you can live without meat, you can live without dairy, you can live without eggs, and be healthy. But the more important thing is that you're not eating the suffering of another person who didn't want to die. And when you think about it like that, you don't need that in your body. And when you don't have it, you are a kind of nicer person.
So yeah, we shouldn't really be treating animals as resources, right? To exploit, because they're sentient beings as well. Yeah. Hi. What's your name?
I'm Wayne.
Wayne. Hi. What would you like to say about why you're here today? What's motivated you to come out?
It's for the animals. I want the world to go vegan. It's the only way that we can save our planet from the climate crisis, and at the same time prevent the suffering of billions of sentient beings. And we can do it. I've been vegan for over 11 years. I've never felt healthier in my life. And everyone should at least give it a try for 30 days and see if they can do it. And like you said, you consume some dairy products. I would challenge you for the next 30 days to give up dairy and go vegan for a month and see how you go, and try and stick to it. Because the more people that go vegan, the faster we'll turn around the climate crisis and have peace in this world.
Often people, when they watch sort of Extinction Rebellion protests, which obviously Animal Rebellion is kind of allied with, they sort of say, "Oh, why are you sitting in the street? Why don't you offer solutions?" But actually, this is a solution, isn't it? And it's one of the most impactful things you can do, right, as a sort of individual. What would you say about that?
It's totally the easiest thing that anyone can do to have a meaningful impact, to reduce your own contribution to CO2 emissions and suffering of animals. And it's not like we can have an influence on politics around the world, but by becoming vegan you can make your own impact on the world by reducing your consumption. And the more it spreads, the more producers that sell non-vegan food won't be able to be in business, and it leads to a more peaceful world where everything's vegan.
Well, that's what we're trying to bring awareness to of here, isn't it, today? Some of the big companies that often people don't actually know about, that are kind of bargaining with those like feedstocks for animals and things that are actually causing a lot of disruption. So yeah, thanks for coming today, because we are actually trying to change politics as well, aren't we, with these movements? Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say apart from that?
Well, I wrote a little message on the ground over there.
Yes.
And it says, vegan police wanted, and I pointed an arrow to the police.
Oh, should I just film that in that case? Just have a cut there. Yes, we want everyone to consider this option, right? Yeah. And I will too as well. I have done it in the past, but I've lapsed. So yes, I've been motivated today. Yeah. Thank you very much for talking to us at XR UK. Thanks. So we've calmed down a bit here actually after all that samba, which is absolutely lovely and brings everybody into the same kind of rhythm. But we do need to have a bit of a rest as well on this march. So we're standing here. I don't actually know where we have stopped this time, but I think we had some speeches just now while I was doing an interview. So perhaps you already know. Oh no, they are doing speeches over there. You can probably tell I'm flagging a bit here. Oh, we're at the Marine Stewardship Council, I've been told. Well, that's what we were talking about before, actually, was marine stewardship, kind of having a label saying, you know, this is sustainable, and people think, oh, well, that's sustainable. That means that I can, you know, I can rely on, I can sort of abdicate my responsibility to, you know, the Marine Stewardship Council, because they sound like they're about stewardship and they're a council, but actually... I don't know, actually. I'm going to just ask my director whether he wants me to move in on the speeches and hear a bit more of that. Okay. Yeah, sure. So we're going to go and see if we can hear a bit more about Marine Stewardship Council. Because, you know, their name is on a lot of tins of tuna out there. But, you know, this fish is really not sustainable. It's really not sustainable to eat fish at all, to be honest. So let's just, if you excuse me for a moment, if I see a bit of rummaging here, because I'm going to try and move my way through the crowd. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Sorry, can I come through? Excuse me. Sorry, can I come through? Thank you. All right.
I wonder, a thought came to me then when they were speaking, I wonder how many of us chose a sea animal individual when we were thinking about our individual. Just a thought. We have someone.
Oh, sorry, can I come? Thank you.
Here who just wants to say like one little thing, apparently from HS2, and apparently it's to do with animal rights as well. So a little surprise guess if you don't.
Thank you so much. I'm a hopeful speaker, but I just want you to know that HS2, can you just stop and think what it's doing to our animal kingdom, to the biodiversity, to the insects in the trees and the bushes and the ground. Everything is being destroyed by this horrendous project. Our bird life, our rabbits and our hares and the foxes and weasels, everything that you think of is being disrupted and destroyed. This horrendous project harms the country and breaking up their natural habitat all the time, and of course polluting the land as well. So if we want to eat in the future, the land is being lost because our wildlife aren't being able to carry out what they normally do. I'm sure there's much more I should say, but you get the picture anyway. And on the 9th of September, that's Thursday the 9th of September, at 9 AM, we are forming groups along the line, hopefully at places like Scrubs, Euston, Wendover, Northamptonshire, Warwickshire and Staffordshire, to do a demonstration like this for the local people who haven't been heard. We've been writing to our politicians for like 11 years, and they just carry on with this horrendous project. Obviously, it's affecting people as well, but you are concerned with animals, and rightly so. So please, we've been trying to hand out some leaflets, but if you could look at Stop HS2 or HS2 Rebellion, you'll find out a little bit more then. And if you can come along and support one of the groups along that line, that would be absolutely magnificent, because it's our wildlife that we've got to save to help the future generations. And very much love to you all for what you're doing.
Thank you. You're just so great at that, aren't you? So we're moving on. This is our last stop before we go back to Smithfield Market. So this is our last chance to make some noise for the other animals on our way there. So I hope you have still got stamina and energy and some vocal cords left for this last little stretch. Have you? Are you sure? Yeah. We used to be bigger, louder than ever. Let's be heard for the other animals. We want liberation. We want justice. We want abolition. So let's march. Let's make some noise. Let's be heard, because we're doing it for them. Are you ready to go? Yeah! Ned, where are you? Come back. Ned's going to do some chanting.
Can we make some noise for the animals? I said, can we make some noise for the animals? Let's go! Humane dairy is a lie. Humane meat is a lie. Humane honey is a lie. Humane meat is a lie. Humane cruelty is a lie. Humane death is a lie. Humane imprisonment is a lie.
Hi there. So I've come across a family who's come to the march today. 3 generations, in fact. So I just wanted to find out why you decided to come to the Animal Rights March to start with.
Okay, so yeah, we've travelled here today from Leicester just because it's important that our animal voices are heard and we want to speak on their behalf, and the importance of supporting all the work that Animal Rebellion does.
Fantastic. And have you been members of Animal Rebellion for quite a long time? I mean, it's quite a new organisation, but...
I've been to a few Animal Rebellion protests and things before, but it's not something that we've, as a family, had much to do with before today.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're very kind of excited to find out more and become more and more involved.
And if I may ask, like, bringing a new child into the world, has that sort of brought everything into sharp relief for you? Does it change the way that you think about climate change?
Yeah, it can be quite difficult sometimes with my baby coming into the world, thinking about what he's actually going to be coming into and what the next 10, 20, 50 years of his life are going to look like. So it makes me really want us to do something now, and if we can play some small part in this with an event like today, then I think that can only be a great thing.
And can I ask, you told me that you're all vegan. Yeah. Have you come on that journey together, or have you sort of encouraged each other and this gradually come that way?
No, it's been in stages. I've got 2 other daughters and a son, so my eldest daughter became vegan many years ago, and at that time I think we were vegetarian, and kind of thought it was enough to eat sort of free range and that kind of thing, and she kind of educated us that that's a complete lie, and that the only real option is to go so we've been vegan for a few years, and then my partner Paul here, you perhaps talk to his experience.
Yes, so I met Emily just over a year ago and became vegan pretty much overnight. Mostly for health reasons to begin with, but over the course of the last year, that's moved much more on the climate and the ethical side. Perfect timing for the vegan.
I mean, and I think it's things like we were at Vegan Camp Out last weekend and saw the Hogwood video by Viva, and you just think there's no argument against that. It's just unacceptable. And it's important that people are aware of that. And I think a lot of people are being told a lie and they believe it.
Absolutely. I think, unless is there anything else you'd like to say? Because the music started, we'll get on to the march quite quickly. Anything else before I leave you to have a great day?
I think just to say thank you for all that you do and the activism and the bravery of members of your organisation, and hopefully we'll be able to get more involved in the future.
Have a great time at the Animal Rights March.
So we're coming to the end now of the Animal Rights March on day 6 of the Impossible Rebellion. This was Animal Rebellion, and it was Extinction Rebellion, and as we saw, we had some PETA activists and lots of other smaller grassroots groups coming to join. Really interesting to see the animal rights movement come together with Animal Rebellion, who are interested in the intersection of animal rights and climate change, of course. I think the aim was to start those different, I don't want to say that makes it sound adversarial, but slightly different views, just to learn from each other and exchange and feel a sense of community. And I think that seems to have worked really well today. It's been a great atmosphere. I think that's some building work going on. I hope it's not. Oh no, somebody had a siren earlier. There's all sorts of noise going on here. It's quite difficult to tell. So we are getting towards the end of the march, and we're also getting towards the end of our energy, to be frank. So we're going to show a few more interviews in a minute, and then we're going to fairly soon the march and end up at Smithfield in a minute, because it's a round route.
Okay, we're here at Covent Garden Market. We're just about to set off for the march, and we've got a rebel here who is going to explain to us why she's here today and what her the most passionate belief she has about animal rights.
Hi, so my name's Lucy. I'm here with Extinction Rebellion, supporting Animal Rebellion, and I'm extremely passionate about the loss of biodiversity that's happening on the planet. I think that animals are going extinct at a rate that's at least 1,000 times, I think, more than what the regular rate should be. Of course, some extinction is natural, but this is definitely human caused, and it's really to express our rage and grief and love for the planet. And the animals don't have a voice. We have to help be that voice for them, and to really just be here in support of that today.
I'm totally in agreement with you about not having a voice. We also know that animals are extremely intelligent, and they have their own lives to lead, and certainly one of the tenets of Animal Rebellion is that we need to recognize these things. What do you think about animal rights in that respect?
Definitely, I truly agree. I think there's a whole world and consciousness of animals that we just aren't aware of, especially in the busyness of everyday life. And the more that we can be in touch with that and respect animals and their individual rights on this planet, I think the better.
Yes, it makes you think that the wild animals, even though they have a raw deal with climate change, is still a lot better than the farmed animals, because the kind of horrors that we continue to hear about, farmed animals have to go through is truly worrying, isn't it? And needs to be stopped, do you think?
I am sorry, I couldn't hear that last bit.
Oh, right, so you just... Are you vegan? Do I mind?
So I'm on a bit of a journey at the moment. I am vegetarian at the moment, and I think, you know, this is a bit of a misconception. Not everyone who supports animal rights, I think, has to be vegan. Of course, I guess it's all the better if, you know, as much as anyone can do, but I'm personally a vegetarian and I'm hoping to cut back a little bit more and more every day. So
yes, indeed. Right. Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks.
We're back near the end of the Animal Rights March. In a circle from Smithfield, sorry, just totally forgot what it was called for a minute. From Smithfield Market back to Smithfield Market. Smithfield Market being the centre of the symbolic centre maybe of the British meat industry.
So we're coming towards the end of the Animal Rights March. We've got this lady dressed rather interestingly. Can you tell us a little about why you're dressed in this manner?
Basically just like representing all the animals which are packaged up in the supermarkets. For example, like pigs here and everything, like just being sold and packaged up and just kept there. No choice, like it's not their future, that's not what they want, so it's just representing that. So yeah, thank you.
So I think the message is that any animal, it's sort of a message about how an animal should be feeling when they're dressed like this, and the fact that we disassociate ourselves from the feelings of animals.
Yeah, exactly, like if we go to a shop and buy a human, like buy flesh and eat that, no, why do we do it with animals? So yeah, it's just trying to get rid of that perception. So yeah, thanks.
So imaginative and effective the way that you've dressed. Thank you so much for doing this. It sends out such a powerful message. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the march. So the march is now returning to Smithfield Market. I think we've been out about 5 hours now. It's been, to say the least, an interesting day. There have been people from all different walks of life, ages, backgrounds, nationalities. This is something that really brings people from different backgrounds together. The idea that we need to change our reliance on meat and switch to a plant-based diet, not only for health reasons, as we saw with the bodybuilder earlier on, who incidentally told me that he trained with a former Mr. Universe who also went vegan after meeting him. So the idea of going vegan based on not only the health benefits, but also the huge ecological impact of meat farming. The figures on that, as we've rattled off a few times today, are absolutely staggering, and it's a big part of the fight against environmental change. A big part of that is a move towards a plant-based diet. As you can see in front of you, that's the octopus, which is part of Ocean's Rebellion. We spoke to Laura from Ocean's Rebellion earlier on. I think that we're going to finish the march here. I think we're going to be summing up with some speeches. The march seems to have walked inside Smithfield Market now. So let's all follow them in and see what's going on. The Hare Krishnas are here with the food truck, as you can see. serving free food. We're live with Extinction Rebellion, and we've got somebody from Animal Rebellion who's been ducking me all day. But you will duck me no more.
All right, cool.
You're live, so now it's do or die.
I think I'll do then. Okay, so what are we doing? We're here at Smithfield Market, the oldest market in the UK, but I think it's one of the oldest markets in the world. It's a meat market. This is where they bring the bodies and they disembowel them, they cut them up and they sell them onto the markets, spread all over the UK. Every morning they do this. Animal Rebellion came here in 2019. We camped here and we saw the future. We saw the future. We created the future. We set up a fruit and vegetable market in the oldest meat market in town, in the world. It was amazing. And we are here today.
How did that go?
That was really good actually. We actually spoke with people here, with Smithfield people who are in charge. We basically said we're coming, let us come, or we're coming anyway. And they said, okay, have one night. And it was difficult because it smells of meat. And we're animal rights activists, and we're here for liberation, and we're here to stop the damage that animal agriculture does to the world and to the animals themselves.
For those watching who are maybe not as well informed as you, can you tell us what the impact is on the environment?
There are numbers that go up and down. I mean, there's 18% to 30%, and this is animal agriculture itself, just animal agriculture. And it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about just the machinery and the methane that the animals produce, then it can be about 18%. If you talk about the deforestation, which is obviously related to the sequestration of this carbon that we're putting out into the air, then it's a higher number. And also there's a lot of importing and exporting of these meats and fish products. We have dead zones all over the place in the sea. The sea is it's going to be very difficult to recover. We just need to start thinking about a just and sustainable plant-based diet to save the planet, to stop enslaving and using and abusing and oppressing animals on a daily basis, and also to save the wildlife, the biodiversity on which everyone, you, me, every individual on this planet, the seen, the unseen, we all depend on them. And we also forget, COP18 in China this year in September, the Biodiversity Summit, it's a worldwide summit. We need to focus on that, because without looking after biodiversity, we have nothing, we are lost.
You've been involved in veganism and animal rights for some time. Have you seen something of a shift in society, thoughts, ideas, away from a meat-based diet?
I have. I mean, we can see in the supermarkets and all the markets there's a lot of vegan products. But even that, we're overproducing. There's a lot of vegan product waste. There's a lot of processed food. Everyone thinks that a vegan or a plant-based diet is healthy. If processed food is processed food. We're seeing it a lot more. We're seeing vegan burgers. They're still unhealthy. And if they're mass-produced, that's still bad for the environment.
I see what you're saying. I do think there's a place to just concentrate on the fact that there's an increasing demand for vegan products. Yeah. And I mean, let's make no mistake, the supermarkets aren't doing it out of any altruistic motives. They're doing it because there's a demand. Yeah. And I mean, do you not think it's really encouraging that there's this sort of shift towards a plant-based diet?
It's definitely encouraging, there's no doubt, but overconsumption is overconsumption, whether it's vegan, whether it's plant-based, whether it's animal-based. And let's not forget, as you said, it's the big guns that are making the money out of this. These people who are making these burgers, these Impossible Burgers and whatever else they are, they don't care about the farmers, the animal farmers, who need to make a living. They need to live in this unsustainable system that we're living in. So Animal Rebellion is very, very much into trying to help these farmers transition, and there are other ways of doing this. And I think if we need a just and sustainable plant-based diet, we need to be looking at community growing. We need to learn how to grow our own food, our own vegetables. We need to share. We need public people's assembly, public democracy, community democracy, growing food, growing communities, and that's the positive future I can see. And I really have to leave you because I've got to go and sort something else.
To be honest, I was going to cut you off anyway. You were done, but you were absolutely brilliant. Honestly, you were quality. Thank you so much for sharing that. Maximum love.
Thank you.
Love, bruv, love. That was one of the organisers of Animal Rebellion. Spoke most eloquently. We've got a gentleman on now. Hello. So I've got somebody, Mr. Vlad, speaking in my ear, tell me they'd lost my video, but now I'm back. I've got a gentleman here who'd agreed to do an interview, and I've caught him at the worst possible time. And quite frankly, I mean, the fact that I should care that I'm disturbing you eating, I'm kind of enjoying that.
I'll let it cool down.
So, Extinction Rebellion, I think we're at day 6. Animal Rebellion March today. What are your thoughts?
It's actually the Animal Rights March, which is a long-standing thing. This year Animal Rebellion have been asked to help organise it, and they've asked, which is nice for them, and they've asked Extinction Rebellion to help them, which is nice for us. So we're here today, just incognito, behind the scenes, just helping our allies. So it's good, good movement building opportunity, and all these causes are connected, and we all care about this cause. So it's great to be here.
We were talking earlier about your background and sort of how you ended up as an activist. I think it'd be really interesting for you to share a bit about that with listeners.
Well, I started off as a zoologist, boffin, geek. Taught you've got a zoology degree, taught that animals were just robots with no inner worlds.
Sorry, is that what you were taught?
Yeah.
Crikey.
I was brought up in this scientific reductionist, materialist, capitalist context. Went off to Africa to do conservation biology work, and walked away from the field because I could see that just basically extrapolating, even without factoring global warming in, what we're doing to the planet. All these conservation organisations, they're barely denting what's going on. And this was obvious to me 30 years ago. I wanted a career as a conservation biologist in this colonialist context that was the only thing available at the time. But it was clear to me, just tell the truth. It's like everything's going to go. And all my friends stopped talking to me because I was telling the truth. I thought, I can't do this, it's living a lie. I cared about those forests more than I cared about my own life, and walking away from it nearly killed me. 20 years of serious depression after that, but I knew it was a waste of time. They're burning, it's going.
Did you say you had serious depression as a result of that?
Yeah, 20 years. Just the knowledge, being a zoologist, I know more about what's being lost than most people. I could marvel all day at the beauty in a single teaspoon of soil. There's so much in it. I know more than anyone else how much is being lost, and I know how intractable it is. It's worse than we think. So living with that knowledge is like living with a sword through my chest for 20 years. It's been a long journey, but I wasn't going to live a lie. I walked away from conservation biology, I walked away from science, because I thought scientists are just documenting what's going on, they're not stopping it. You can see that the people who they're giving their reports to are not doing anything about it. So like, what are you doing? You're just keeping a chair warm, getting paid. It's intellectual masturbation, basically.
Intellectual masturbation? There's a term I've not heard before.
They're just getting paid to do what they enjoy, and the thing that they're studying is going extinct, and they know it, and they're not doing anything about it. The people who are trying to do something about it, they're just pretending. These conservation NGOs, they're earning whopping salaries, flying around the world. When I was out there, you could earn like £50,000 a year tax-free for the hardship of working in a tropical paradise. Everything given to you, working alongside Tanzanian colleagues who are on £3 a day. And people just rationalised it away. We didn't do that. My group then, it was just obviously wrong, and we didn't participate. We go and live with the locals. We didn't hang out with the expats. It just felt wrong. We lived with the locals. We ate. We paid ourselves £1 a day because that's what they got. We ate with them. We got the diseases with them. We couldn't fully understand what was going on, but we weren't taking part in that. It was obviously rotten system, and it's obviously going to die. Everything's going. So I walked away from that because I could find no organisation that was facing the truth and facing reality. People just paying themselves fat wages to waltz around the world, going to conferences. I'm Mr. This, That and the Other, I'm a conservation biologist. No, you're not, you're a fucking fraud. So I eventually become an activist because the conservation organisations are just pretending to save the world. They'll take your money so you feel good, and they'll pay themselves fat money so they feel good. and none of it's actually helping the creatures who are dying. We're outnumbered 1 trillion to 1 by non-human things. 2/3 of that has gone in my lifetime. 2/3 of the natural world that I love has gone in my lifetime. The rest is going to go in my lifetime unless we change radically. And Extinction Rebellion is one of the very few groups actually telling that truth. So they're part of what got me out of depression into activism. Not wasting my time I rarely speak. It's not about me. Too many middle-class, middle-aged, able-bodied, English-speaking, English white men telling other people what to do. I don't want to be one of those people. That's why I rarely get in front of the camera. I would want to be bringing...
You know that you tick all of those boxes, though, right?
No, that's exactly it. That's why I'm very self-conscious. That's why I rarely do the speaking. Because there's too many people like me ruling the world. I want to be bringing forth a diversity of other voices and supporting them to do their thing. So occasionally I realise there's stuff I've got to say that other people aren't saying. But generally, I want to keep my mouth shut and support other people. That's why I see as I'm a steward. I'm not on the speakers list. I'm a steward, helping other people.
I think that you should speak. I think you speak eloquently and you make sense. So, thank you very much. Apologies for interrupting your food.
Cooler now. I'd have burnt my mouth.
Is it any good?
It's lovely, of course.
I'm going to grab some in a minute because I've not eaten it either. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic interview that was. We're still outside Smithfield Market. I'm actually with some of the other streamers. You should just meet them and say hello. Hello.
Hi.
Of course.
I think we're going to wrap up now, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're going to do like a dual wrap-up. So get with the two hosts for today.
Should we just...
We're going to go to this camera here.
So shall I just put this down?
Yeah, put that down. Get rid of that. So how did you find today, Endip?
It's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been interesting. We met some really interesting people, from activists to a YouTuber who's a professional bodybuilder. Did you watch that?
I heard that in my ear.
Really,
Yes, I did.
really interesting fella. I think this whole idea of a plant-based system brings a lot of people from very different backgrounds together. I mean, somebody spoke earlier about really feeling guilty about eating meat and transitioning, and I think that's something that sort of goes across cultures, backgrounds, different demographies, and it's something that really binds us together, and we've seen that today in the diversity of people that we've had.
Absolutely, and I think something that strikes me as well is that a lot of people have felt very isolated in their opinions, sometimes for a long time in their life, and they've been kind of conditioned to think that animal life, well, like your previous speaker was just saying, that animal life is not as worthwhile, as worthy of saving as human life, and they felt, they've obviously had so much conviction to kind of go against that, but it's caused quite a lot of trauma, actually. And this is a real community feel of coming together and sort of standing up, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a real coming together, and the thing that I think Animal Rebellion has in common with Extinction Rebellion is that at the core of everything is this idea of compassion. It's the idea of caring about something more than ourselves. It's the idea of caring for animals, caring for the future of mankind, caring for wildlife. And I think that the press do a good job of suppressing that. But at the core of all of this is a real feeling of compassion and caring.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, I hope that that's what we show on the live streams as well, because like you said, it's very easy for, certain media outlets to come and say, oh, we're sort of a death. Somebody came off on a bike and was shouting death cult at us the other day, when, it's just, you talk to people within the movement, it's so obviously not the case. We want to preserve life in all its forms, not just human life, and come together and build something better. So I'm hoping that you've really enjoyed the live stream and seeing all those different perspectives of people, and please keep joining us because we're on for another week.
We are. Are you still around or are you leaving us?
I will be working behind the scenes next week. I'm going back to work. I do have a job, as I know you do as well.
The people at Extinction Rebellion do have jobs.
Yes.
I mean, the press would have you believe otherwise, but we do have jobs and homes and bills and all that sort of thing.
So we do what we can in our own time, don't we? And but we do have more streamers coming up next week. Gonna have quite a fun-filled day tomorrow, lots of stuff on. Take a bit of a break on Monday, I think, and then come back. So please do join us. Any last words from you, Endip?
Just thank you ever so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure, actually, and it's nice to know that people that can't make these events can take part from home and sort of really feel as though they're here. So thank you for watching, I'd say.
Yeah, and share, right?
Absolutely. Share the love, share the love, share the love.
That's a good note to end on. Yeah, thanks for watching another live stream on XR UK. Have a good day, and we hope to see you again soon. Rebel for life.
We bid you farewell.
In the background always, for the last 30 years, the climate has been an issue. But I thought it was just going to be something that was sorted out by people in power. That wasn't happening, and the news stories were getting worse, and I realised that the planet is desperately under threat. And certainly as a parent, you think, I must do whatever I can to change the course that we're on.
When I think about the climate crisis, I feel really scared. I feel scared for the future when I see the path that we're going down. I got involved with Animal Rebellion because I was seeing everything that's going on in the world, and I was vegan and I was recycling, trying to do my bit, and you just realise none of it ever feels like enough.
We have lost all the time for incremental change, expecting people's behaviours to catch up. It's really a lot to expect ordinary people to react with the degree of urgency we need to when we're so blinkered by the messaging of corporates, playing into people's insecurities that we need another car next year, we need a third pair of jeans. The system's at fault, expecting exponential growth and profit at the expense of other peoples, of the planet, of nature, of animals.
With animal agriculture, it's this thing that people feel really uncomfortable talking about because it's so woven into our society and how we function. But we know how damaging it is. We know that it's responsible for the majority of deforestation. We know that the fishing industry is killing our oceans. And you can't combat the climate crisis without addressing animal farming. You try and work with the system, you contact your MP, you do all this, but they're not listening. So we need to take action ourselves. We need to make sure that we are heard. We need to go out on the streets and create that change that we need.
We have a duty and responsibility to take to the streets. We are protesting on behalf of those who have no voice at all in their futures, of all the peoples in the Global South who have been so drastically affected by global inequity, by the climate emergency.
I'm hopeful that we can turn things around because we are so powerful when we come together and take action. But the thing with hope is that it has to be active hope. We can't just hope and expect that things will be okay.
When you're taking action, you're not sitting in despair in your living room signing yet another petition that goes nowhere. You are actually taking action to address some of your deepest fears.
This is a critical moment in history. This is either where we change things and create a better future or where we lose everything. And so I hope that we manage to turn things around and you look back at it and you're like, yeah, fuck it, they did it.